Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If you'd like to request updates on any novel, consider becoming a Patreon or Ko-fi member. Based on your membership tier, I'll create additional parts for the novel you're interested in. Normally, I'll only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel due to limited time. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It really helps.
Heavens, this food is amazing. Did you really cook this all by yourself? I have never eaten anything this delicious before. Leo praised Sophie as he stuffed food into his mouth. Sophie looked at him with a disgusted face, almost as though she was looking at a barbarian. Maybe I should come here more often for dinner. Leo mumbled to himself. Don't you even think about it. Sophie glared daggers at him. He quickly looked away and focused on the food. After dinner, Miss Camille said to him, I will drive you back to the academy, or I can just sleep here tonight. He winked at her. Seeing Miss Camille frown, he quickly continued, I'm just kidding, of course. Two of them drove back to the academy shortly after. On their way there, Leo asked her, since I told you about my relationship with the Miss Camille of my world, it's only fair for you to do the same. Tell me about your relationship with the Leo of this world. Miss Camille silently pondered for a moment before speaking. Just like you, I first met Leo when he came to my infirmary with injuries all over his body. Leo would always get into fights with the magic students, and he was also an adventurer, so he would almost always show up to the infirmary every day without fail, but as he got stronger, his injuries lessened. However, he still visited the infirmary every day just to tell me about his day. I don't know why he keeps on returning, and I found him annoying at first, especially when he resembles someone I once knew. Someone you knew? Who? Leo asked. After a moment of hesitation, she spoke in a low voice. My older brother. Huh? You have an older brother? The Miss Camille I knew also never mentioned having a brother. I used to have one. He died, and he was around your current age when he died. I was only 7 years old then. I'm sorry. It's fine. It's been 2 decades since his death. Is your older brother the reason you became an adventurer at such a young age? He asked. It's half of the reasons, she calmly said. Leo didn't continue to question her situation any further, as he felt that he was digging too much into her background. So I resemble her older brother, huh? Is this why she agreed to help me? He wondered inwardly. Before dropping him off at the academy, Miss Camille said, Meet me tomorrow at the training center as usual. What about Nina? I will deal with her. All right. When Miss Camille returned home, Sophie approached her with a conflicted look. I think I understand why you care so much about this Leo now, Lady Camille, Sophie said to her. Let's hear it. Miss Camille's face remained tranquil. That Leo. He's a splitting image of your older brother and my cousin Leon Light. Even his name is almost the exact same. You're wrong, Miss Camille responded in a cold voice. I'm tired. I'm going to sleep now. She walked right past Sophie and then to her own room. Sophie did not stop her and watched as she disappeared. Leo. I have heard of him before, but that was my first time seeing him in person. If I didn't know any better, I would have definitely mistaken him for Leon. What a creepy resemblance. Sophie was inwardly relieved that she didn't accidentally meet Leo in the city because she would have definitely thought that her cousin had returned from the dead. Lights flamikronem. After returning to her room, Miss Camille walked to her desk and glanced at the framed picture resting on the desk. There were 2 people in this picture. A child that looked like Miss Camille 20 years ago, and kneeling right beside her was a handsome young man with short black hair and a gentle expression. If Leo saw this picture, he would have thought that he was the one in the picture. After staring at the picture for a moment, she placed the photo down and prepared to sleep. Meanwhile, after returning to his room, Leo laid on the bed with a pondering look on his face. How did it go with Miss Camille? Were you able to tell her about the magic system? Lilith asked him. Yes, I did, and she seems to believe me. See? I told you that it would be fine. Lilith smiled. She then asked, "So what's going to happen now, Light's novel?" "We're going to resurrect Nina's mother and get this quest over with. However, I will need to spend some time increasing my mana capacity before then since my mana capacity is too low to do anything right now. With Miss Camille training me, it shouldn't be too long though. Well, good luck. I'm looking forward to it." "You? Why?" "Because it seems entertaining. Why else?" She chuckled. The following day after class, Leo went to the training center, where Nina Wraith was already waiting. "What are you doing here?" Leo asked her in an annoyed voice. "What else? I'm here to help you train your magic." "About that, I no longer need you to help me train my magic," he said. "What? Why not?" "Because I will be training him," Miss Camille said as she entered the room. "You?" Nina was speechless when she saw Miss Camille. What happened to their fight yesterday? Why did she suddenly return? She wondered inwardly. "Nina Wraith, we need to talk about your nonsense regarding the resurrection magic." Miss Camille approached her. "If you're going to try to convince me to give up on my goals like yesterday, you can forget about it. I won't change my mind even if you kill me," Nina stubbornly said. "No, it's actually the opposite. I am going to help you resurrect your mother." "You're going to what?" Nina Wraith couldn't believe her own ears and stared at Miss Camille with a look of disbelief. "I don't believe you. Why would you suddenly want to help me when you were so against it just yesterday? There's no way you can change your mind that quickly. Due to circumstances which I cannot tell you about, I have decided to assist you. However, I am not helping you because I want to. This I want you to keep in mind. Furthermore, it would be more dangerous to leave the two of you alone. If I am here, I will be able to make sure that nothing will get out of hand. I don't need your help. I only need Leo's help." Nina snorted. Leo suddenly stepped in and said, "I asked Miss Camille for her help. I won't do this alone, so if you won't accept her help, then you can forget about my help as well." Nina gritted her teeth before speaking in a frustrated voice. "Fine. She can help. We're going to start training now. You can leave since you're no longer needed here," Miss Camille said to her a moment later. "Leo is basically my partner now, so I am going to stay and watch him train," she said as she stood firm. "Is that so? As long as you don't interfere with our training, I don't care what you do," Miss Camille casually said. Nina didn't say anything else and walked to one of the walls before taking a seat. "Here," Miss Camille handed Leo the S-rank artifacts that he'd used yesterday before starting his training. "Oh, thank you." Leo quickly wore them with enthusiasm, instantly feeling stronger after putting them on. Those artifacts have such a strong aura. They must be at least A rank if not S rank. She's actually willing to let him borrow something that valuable for training. Nina was shocked inwardly after seeing the artifacts. Due to her spiritual eyes, she also had the ability to see the aura of artifacts and gauge their power and rarity without the need of specialized equipment. Soon, Leo started throwing void spears at the mana-absorbing dummy. A moment later, the dummy started pulsating with a red light. What? His Tier 2 magic spell is 3,000 magic power. That is outrageously powerful. If it's him, he can definitely resurrect Mother. Nina cried inwardly after seeing Leo's true magic prowess. However, she would become even more shocked when she realized how often Leo was using Void Spear. How's he using so many magic spells? I thought he only had 1,000 mana. He's chucking those Void Spears every 10 seconds. Wait, could that be due to the artifacts she gave him? Any artifact that allows magicians to use magic this constantly is priceless. Nina started researching artifacts on her phone. Eventually, she found what she was looking for. This is it. I found them. Elder's Ring of Regeneration and Elder's Ring of Empowerment. These are legendary artifacts that once belonged to a powerful mage nicknamed Elder, and he was one of the strongest mages in this world. These artifacts even have a set effect. Nina's mind almost burned out from shock after realizing just how valuable the artifacts Leo was using for training actually was. Miss Camille is actually willing to lend these legendary artifacts to a student for his training? That is absurd. She's insane. It was at this moment that Nina Wraith realized just how powerful and wealthy Miss Camille was. At the end of the day, Leo handed the artifacts back to Miss Camille, and his mana capacity increased by another 150. Then I will see you here again tomorrow, Miss Camille said before leaving the place. After Miss Camille left the room, Nina Wraith looked at Leo with raised eyebrows and asked, "Are the two of you secret lovers or something? I cannot fathom why she would let you use such priceless artifacts for training." Leo frowned and said, "How rude. We have a perfectly healthy relationship as student and teacher. She's also my mentor and friend." "Is that so?" "I'm leaving," Leo said to her before leaving the room. After returning to his room, Lilith said, "It's not just that little girl. I am also surprised that she allowed you to use those artifacts, and it's not because they're expensive. I don't know much about artifacts. Can you enlighten me as to why they're so valuable besides its ridiculous pricing?" he asked. All S-rank artifacts are valuable, but there are even rarer artifacts known as set artifacts. These kinds of artifacts will have bonus effects if you wield all of them at once. The ones Miss Camille have are from the Elders set, and they're amongst the best artifacts in the world. They're so valuable that you won't be able to buy them even with money. Miss Camille was probably an exception due to her reputation as the saintess. Those artifacts can get even more powerful? I cannot even imagine such effects. How many pieces are usually in a set? It varies depending on the artifact. Some only have 2 artifacts in a set while some may have up to 5. Of course, the more pieces in a set, the more powerful it can become. That's pretty cool. Leo went to sleep shortly after. And for the next few days, Leo would spend most of his time training magic. His Void Spear's mastery rank increased all the way to D. As for his mana capacity, it was reaching close to 2,000. In less than a week, his mana capacity increased by almost 1,000. If the other students knew of this, they would definitely be shocked out of their minds. At the end of class right before the weekend, Professor Jasmine said to the students, "Due to the wilderness training course that will be starting soon, you will no longer have to attend classes until after the wilderness training course. However, this does not mean you can slack off. This time is meant for you guys to prepare yourselves before the training. If you underestimate the wilderness, you'll die. The team applications will start a week before the wilderness training course. Every team can have up to 4 people. If you have any questions, you can ask me after class. My phone number is also posted on the board for the times when I am not in the classroom. That's all." Class dismissed. The moment class ended, the students in the classroom surrounded Leo and started asking him to become teammates. "Leo, let's become teammates. I swear I won't drag you down during the training course. I will do anything you want if you join my team. How much do you want? I will pay you." Leo was overwhelmed by the students there. The wilderness training course is more significant than I anticipated. He sighed inwardly. "Leo, you don't have to choose anyone from this class. You can form a team with the other classes as well. They're all just trying to take advantage of your amnesia, hoping that you wouldn't remember it," Lilith warned him. "Seriously? These assholes." Leo cried inwardly after hearing Lilith's words. He stood up and said, "Sorry, but I need some time to think about this. Anyways, I am in a hurry, so if you'll excuse me." Leo quickly squeezed through the crowd before disappearing from the classroom. "He got away, huh?" The students sighed when Leo left. After leaving the classroom, Leo went home to prepare for his trip to the wilderness before making his way to the parking lot, where Miss Camille was already waiting. "Sorry, did you wait long?" "No, I just got here." "Are you ready to go?" "We're going to stay in the city for the weekend like last time." "Yes, I am ready." He nodded. They entered the car and drove straight to the city walls. There were new guards at the entrance this week, so Leo and Miss Camille had to show their ID. Once the guards confirmed their identity, Leo and Miss Camille left the city walls and made their way straight into the wilderness. "You're not going to let me borrow the artifacts today?" Leo asked her sometime after they entered the wilderness. "Lightsonville, you want me to bring such priceless artifacts to the wilderness with just the two of us? Are you asking for us to be robbed and killed?" She frowned slightly. "What? You're actually worried about being robbed? Even though you're that strong?" He was surprised to hear this. In his eyes, Miss Camille was the strongest in the entire city, so who would be able to rob her? "I may be an S-rank adventurer, but I am mostly a healer and supporter. My light magic isn't strong enough to fight other S-rank adventurers, and having you here is another burden." "I'm a burden? That's quite harsh, Light's novel." "It's the truth. You'll be dead within seconds if you fight any adventurer above B rank. If we get surrounded by a group of high-ranking adventurers, I won't be able to protect you." Leo swallowed nervously and said, Let's not jinx this. It's almost impossible to set up an ambush this close to the city, so we'll be fine. Anyways, let's talk about your quest. How many more monsters do you need to kill?" "About 30. We can get that done by tonight since we're no longer training." "Let's go." "Okay." Two of them started wandering the wilderness. A few minutes later, they encountered a monster. Leo didn't waste any time and immediately used Black Bullet, killing it with a single headshot. Since he didn't have the S-rank artifacts, he could no longer spam magic spells as frequently, which is why he decided to use Black Bullet instead of Void Spear. Of course, using Void Spear would also be overkill for these F-rank monsters. After harvesting the mana core, the two of them continued deeper into the wilderness, where monsters are more common. An hour into their hunting, they got lucky when they encountered a pack of monsters. There were 5 of them, and they were all traveling in a group. 5 of them, huh? Let's see how many I can kill before the rest runs away. Leo mumbled. "Wait." Miss Camille stopped him, who was about to fire off a black bullet. "We've been so focused on increasing your mana capacity that I didn't really teach you anything regarding magic, so I am going to do it right now," she suddenly said. "Oh? What kind of training?" "I want you to cast more than 1 black bullet at a time." "Huh? I can do that?" This was his first time hearing about such a thing. It's called multicasting, where you create more than 1 magic circle at once. However, this requires more mana than normal, and you need to have a strong mentality since you will need to imagine 2 magic circles inside your head, not to mention your focus. Not a lot of people can multicast, but since you're a genius, you should be able to do it. "I'm flattered that you're calling me a genius, but will I really be able to do it on my first try?" He sighed in a doubtful voice. "Just try it. Instead of imagining 1 magic circle, imagine multiple," Miss Camille said. "All right." Leo proceeded to close his eyes and take a deep breath. He kept his eyes closed as he tried to imagine as many magic circles as he could. "Remember, every magic circle must be perfect or it won't activate," Miss Camille said in a low voice. "I got it." Through a few moments of silence, Leo opened his eyes and pointed his palm towards the pack of unsuspecting monsters. A medium-sized black orb suddenly appeared in front of his palms. The moment he released his mana, over a dozen black bullets shot out of the black orb and flew towards the pack of monsters. Although the accuracy of these black bullets were all over the place, there were so many of them that it didn't matter. The entire pack of monsters collapsed to the ground shortly after their bodies were riddled with holes from Leo's black bullets. Miss Camille stared at the scene with wide eyes. How many black bullets did he multicast? That was just like Kane's Tier 3 water barrage. And he did this on his first try? Is this the power of the magic system, or is this his own talent? She wondered with a dazed look on her face. Miss Camille had only expected Leo to multicast 2 to 3 black bullets at once, for at most, but he had shattered her expectations with over a dozen black bullets. This kind of talent was unimaginable even for a veteran like her. "Wow, that was easier than I thought." However, I am having trouble aiming so many black bullets at once. However, he was surprised when he saw that he'd lost nearly 500 mana from that attack. I only shot about 20 black bullets, yet it took over 500 mana. That's double what it would cost if I shot them one at a time. Sometime later, Miss Camille snapped out of her daze and spoke in a stiff voice, and not bad. But you need to work on your accuracy. Leo went to harvest the mana cores after killing the group of monsters with multicasting. As he collected the mana cores, Miss Camille spoke. There are two things that you must be wary of when training with magic. Magic control and casting speed. Magic control is basically your accuracy with magic spells. If you have poor magic control, you won't be able to use magic spells that require good accuracy such as Black Bullet and Void Spear. Casting speed is self-explanatory. In a match between two magic casters, the one who can cast faster will be at a massive advantage. Most people consider this to be the most important aspect as a magician, and it is often used to compare the difference between two magicians. Leo nodded and said, I am pretty confident with my magic control if I don't use multicasting. As for my casting speed, what do you think, Miss Camille? Let's just say that you would defeat most magicians when it comes to casting speed, she said in a stiff tone. That's good enough for me, he smiled. They continued to hunt monsters shortly after. You have completed a quest. Plus 5000 magic experience, plus 25 magic points. You have received a new quest. Quest, learn a new magic spell. Description, learn a tier 3 or above magic spell. Time limit, 30 days. Reward, 6000 magic experience, 30 magic points. You have received a new quest. Quest, increase mastery rank. Description, increase any 2x magic spell to mastery rank C. Time limit, 14 days. Reward, 5000 magic experience, 25 magic points. The end of the day, Leo barely managed to finish his quest after staying in the wilderness with Miss Camille until it was near midnight. I finished the quest, Miss Camille. All right. Let's return to my house for now, she said. Okay. After returning to the city, Miss Camille drove them back to her own house. Let's go to the training room, Miss Camille said to him as they entered the building. They walked down to the training room in the basement. Leo could hear some loud banging noises as they approached the door. Is there someone else in there? He asked. Sophie usually trains at this time, she said. She trains during midnight? How diligent. Upon entering the training room, Leo could see Sophie fighting with an advanced training puppet while wielding 2 daggers in her hands. Wow. He subconsciously mumbled after seeing Sophie's beautiful and elegant movements that looked like she was dancing around the puppet. Not wanting to disturb her training, Leo and Miss Camille stood by the door and silently waited for her to finish. 10 minutes later, Sophie deactivated the dummy and wiped the sweat on her face with a towel. It was at this moment that she noticed their presence. Lights fell. Welcome back, Lady Camille. Do you want something to eat? She asked as she approached them. No, I'm fine. You can rest. Oh, before you do that, can you quickly organize our guest room? He'll be staying here tonight since it's already too late to go to a hotel. I understand. Sophie glanced at Leo with an annoyed gaze before leaving the training room. Once they were alone, Miss Camille handed Leo a device that measured his mana capacity. Let me see how much mana you have now. Leo nodded and placed his hand on this device, which started absorbing all of his mana. A few moments later, Miss Camille read the results. A little over 2000 mana capacity, huh? When are you going to use the magic system to increase your mana? I can do it now, Leo said. He proceeded to open up the magic shop to make a purchase. Lights novel. Miss Camille watched as Leo stared at the empty air in front of him. It's truly bizarre. One would think that he's just staring blankly into space, but in reality, he's actually communicating with a God-sent entity that grants him unfathomable power. You have purchased increased mana capacity from the magic shop for 50 magic points. Your mana capacity has increased by 9,000. Mana, 1011-020. Leo's eyes widened with shock when he saw how much mana he'd acquired from the purchase. I was only expecting around 5,000, but I actually got 9,000. I have over 10,000 mana now. What's the result? Miss Camille asked him afterward. My mana capacity has increased by 9,000. I have 11,000 mana now, he said in a dazed voice. What? Miss Camille shouted out loud in a state of shock, not daring to believe her ears. His mana increased by 9,000 almost instantaneously. How is that possible? Is the magic system really this powerful? How are you feeling? Do you feel sick at all? Since you'd suddenly acquired such a large amount of mana, it would be natural for you to feel sick, she asked him after snapping out of her daze. No, I feel completely fine. He shook his head. Here, drink this mana potion. Leo accepted the mana potion and chucked it down. Once his mana fully recovered, Miss Camille measured his mana capacity again. When she saw the result, her eyes widened with shock. Even though Leo had already told her the results, she couldn't help but still feel shocked when she saw it with her own eyes. See, can you increase your mana again through the magic system? She asked him a moment later. Yes, but the price of it has increased to 3,000 magic points. It becomes more expensive every time I use it. At this rate, it will take me at least another month or two to buy the next tier. He shrugged. Either way, that is still very good. He nodded. Now I have enough to resurrect Nina's mother, Miss Camille then said. Yes, but let's wait a little before we tell her. I want to make sure that we're prepared to deal with the undead. Undead? Leo raised an eyebrow. As talented as you are with dark magic, you won't be able to fully resurrect her mother. It's literally impossible, especially since it's been many years since her mother died, which makes things a lot more complicated and difficult. Furthermore, that Nina, I don't even know if she knows what she's doing. So what happens if I cannot fully resurrect her mother? Does she become a zombie or something like that? He asked. She will become a soulless being that will only act upon its bloodlust. When that happens, we will need to destroy her completely. Can something that cannot even think or have a soul have bloodlust? That doesn't make sense. When a soulless body has too much mana in their body, they will become like monsters, acting only upon their instincts. I see. Hopefully, she won't do anything crazy if nothing goes her way. Leo sighed out loud. Anyways, before we retire for the day, do you have any new quests? Miss Camille asked him a moment later. Actually, yes, I do. One of the quests requires me to learn a Tier 3 magic spell, and the other one requires me to reach Mastery Rank C with 2 magic spells. My Black Bullet is already Mastery Rank C, and my Void Spear is Rank D. All right. We'll work on your quests tomorrow. Miss Camille left Leo to the guest room where he'll be staying the night shortly after. Do you know where the bathroom is? Yes, I do. He nodded. Then I will leave you alone. Breakfast will be served at 9. We will cook for you, but we won't wait for you. Training will begin at 10. Miss Camille left after giving him the schedule for tomorrow. Once she left, Leo went to the bathroom to wash his body that was stained with monster blood and dirt. After shower, he went to his room and proceeded to scatter the mana cores that he'd gathered today on the bed, treating it as though it were some sort of ritual that brought him good fortune. He closed his eyes and quickly fell asleep. The following morning, Leo went to the dining room after his morning routine. Good morning, you two, he said to them as he took a seat before the table that already had their breakfast served. After breakfast, Leo went to the basement with Miss Camille for another day of training. Ding! You have completed a quest. Plus 5000 magic experience, plus 25 magic point. I have completed one of the quests, Miss Camille, Leo said to her after seeing the notification. And he continued, I just need to learn a Tier 3 magic spell and I will finish the other one. She nodded and said, I have just the perfect magic spell for you. Oh? I'm intrigued. He raised an eyebrow. You have enough offensive power for the moment, and you also have a defensive spell. However, Dark Shield should only be used during emergencies where you can't dodge the attack. Therefore, I'm going to teach you another defensive magic spell, but you will be able to use this one more frequently. Miss Camille proceeded to hand him a pamphlet. Leo accepted the pamphlet and immediately opened it up to see a magic circle inside. After staring at the magic circle for almost a few minutes, Leo finally memorized the magic spell. That took a lot longer than usual. Looks like he isn't able to instantly remember any magic circles regardless of their tier. However, his speed is still groundbreaking and probably the fastest in the world. Miss Camille thought to herself after noticing this change. Most magicians would require at least 2 weeks to a month to fully memorize a Tier 3 magic spell, yet Leo had managed to achieve such a feat in less than 5 minutes. You have learned the magic spell, Void Step. Void Step. Affinity, Dark/Space. Tier 3. Mana, 500. Mastery rank, F. You have completed a quest. Plus 6000 magic experience, plus 30 magic points. You have received a new quest. Quest, Kill Monsters. Description: Kill 30 E-rank monsters using magic below Tier 2. Time limit, 7 days. Reward, 10,000 magic experience plus 50 magic points. You have received a new quest. Quest, Increase Mastery Rank. Description: Increase a Tier 2 magic spell to Mastery Rank B. Time limit, 7 days. Reward, 7,000 magic experience, 35 magic points. The magic spell is called Void Step. It's a magic spell that allows you to step into the void and teleport a short distance. Give it a try, Miss Camille said to him a moment later. He nodded and proceeded to try out this new magic spell. Once he was prepared, he took a step forward and used Void Step. Lights Vlamikronem. He disappeared into thin air after taking his first step before reappearing about 4 to 5 steps away. Light's novel. Wow, that was neat, Leo exclaimed as he continued using Void Step around the room, teleporting several steps every second until he was almost out of mana. Although the distance isn't that impressive, it's more than enough to dodge crucial attacks and surprise the enemy. As you increase its mastery rank, you'll be able to travel further, Miss Camille said. This is an amazing magic spell. Thanks, Miss Camille, he said in an excited voice. Unbeknownst to Leo, this kind of magic spell wasn't public knowledge, not to mention its rarity, so Miss Camille had to spend a hefty amount of money to acquire it, costing her around $250 million. If Leo knew about this, he would surely be shocked out of his mind. After all, he had no idea that one needed to purchase magic spells in a world where magic is so widespread. Realizing Leo's lack of knowledge regarding their world, Miss Camille decided to lecture him a little. Leo, you should be aware of something. You probably think all magic spells are free, but that's not the case. Although you can find most Tier 3 and below magic spells in the Academy, that is a privilege only given to its students. People outside have to acquire magic spells through other sources, whether it be borrowing from others or buying them from markets. Huh? Really? Even though this is a magic world? She nodded and continued. It's exactly because this is a magic world that people want to profit off of magic spells. The more popular and widespread something is, the more people will try to benefit from it. Leo pondered for a moment and asked, since that's the case, won't I be able to earn a lot of money by selling the Academy's magic spells to outsiders? Or is that not allowed? Selling the Academy's magic spells is highly illegal. If you're caught doing so, going to jail will be the least of your worries, so don't you dare think about it even if you're about to be homeless. I was just asking out of curiosity. He swallowed nervously. Anyways, Void Step is a very valuable and rare magic spell. With that being said, I have already given you the magic spell, so you're free to do whatever you want with it, but I will still advise you to not share it with anyone, Miss Camille said a moment later. Don't worry, I won't share it with a single soul no matter what. He patted his chest. Sometime later, Miss Camille asked him, all right, what's your next quest? I need to kill 30 E-rank monsters using Tier 2 and below magic spells, and I also need to increase the mastery rank of a Tier 2 magic spell to rank B. Miss Camille nodded and said, "We can train your Void Spear in the wilderness tomorrow." Okay. The following day, Leo and Miss Camille went back to the wilderness. However, since Leo needed to kill E-rank monsters for his quest, they had to go a little further away from the city than usual. Eventually, they would encounter steel feather longlegs as often as sharp-toothed wolves. "I am definitely going to kill it with a single magic spell this time," Leo said right before throwing a void spear at the steel feather longleg. Whoosh! The void spear disappeared midair and teleported a few meters forward, dumbfounding the steel feather longleg that couldn't comprehend what it had just witnessed. When the void spear struck the monster, it suddenly exploded into a bloody mess with bits and pieces of its guts flying all over the place. This shocked Leo, who has never seen anything this repulsive before. What the hell happened to that monster?" he exclaimed after snapping out of his daze. That is what happens when your body is completely overwhelmed by mana. Your void spear was too powerful for it to handle, causing it to explode. I see. Well, at least I don't have to manually harvest its mana core now, he said as he went to pick up the mana core on the ground. They continued to hunt monsters shortly after. After hunting for about half a day, the two of them came to a sudden halt when Miss Camille stopped moving and said, "Wait! Look over there." Leo followed the direction she was pointing at to see a cave in the middle of the wilderness. However, this was not an ordinary cave, as its entrance was gushing with mana. Furthermore, there shouldn't be any caves out here in the open. It just seemed very unnatural. "Why is there a cave here?" Leo asked. "It's not a cave. It's the entrance to a labyrinth," she said. "A labyrinth? A labyrinth as in a dungeon?" Leo asked after learning about the true identity of this mysterious cave. "Yes. Although we don't know how or why they are created, they appear randomly in the wilderness and they are usually filled with monsters inside. However, if we explore the labyrinth, there's a good chance that we could find an artifact, especially if it hasn't been explored yet," Miss Camille explained. "I see. You said that you'd acquired one of your S-rank artifacts from inside a labyrinth, right?" "That's right. I acquired the Elder's Ring of Regeneration inside an S-rank labyrinth," she nodded. "Oh? Labyrinths also have a ranking system? They're mostly ranked by the monsters inside. If there are mostly E-rank monsters inside, it will be considered an E-rank labyrinth. There are some exceptions, though. For example, if a dungeon has too many dangerous traps, its rank could be raised." Leo then asked, "Since this labyrinth appeared in a place with mostly E-rank monsters, this should be an E-rank labyrinth, correct?" "That's how they usually work," Miss Camille nodded. And she asked, "Do you want to explore it? We will be able to hunt monsters much quicker inside labyrinths since they are usually packed with them. You might even be able to finish your quests today." Before Leo could respond, the magic system appeared before him. "You have received a special quest. Quest: Explore Labyrinth. Description: Explore and clear the labyrinth. Time limit: 3 days. Reward: 20,000 magic experience, 100 magic points. I just received a special quest from the magic system. It's telling me to explore the labyrinth and I have 3 days to do it," he said. "Of course, I was going to do it even without needing the quest." "All right," Miss Camille nodded. "Let's go. I will explain more about labyrinths as we go." Leo nodded and followed her into the cave. Once they walked a couple of meters into the cave, Leo was surprised by what he saw. "There's a staircase here?" He was baffled to see such an unnatural occurrence. "Don't question it. Just accept things the way they are. You'll save yourself some headaches this way," Miss Camille said as she descended the staircase. Anyways, all labyrinths have multiple floors. Some may have 5 floors while others can have over 50 floors. Mostly depends on their difficulty. Labyrinths of this level should have at most 5 floors. "What about the monsters?" he asked. That is all random, but you can expect at least a couple on each floor. A few minutes later, Leo said, "This staircase is still going? How far down are we going? We should be there soon." Through another 2 whole minutes of walking, they finally stepped inside the labyrinth. Leo's eyes widened with shock when he saw the scenery inside the labyrinth. What the hell? I thought we went underground. Why is there a freaking sky? He exclaimed after seeing the clear sky above them, not to mention the other scenery that made it seem like they were outside Light's novel. There were trees in front of them, and the ground was even filled with greenery, almost like they had entered a forest. Welcome to the labyrinth for the first time. Remember when I said to not question it? Just treat it as though you're in a dream, or that you had been transported to another world, Miss Camille said to him. Leo looked at his surroundings with a dazed expression on his face. Didn't feel like he had been transported to a different world when he first came to this parallel world due to how natural everything felt, but entering the labyrinth definitely gave him such a feeling. Lights Flamikronem. How big is this place? I can't see the end, he asked a moment later. This place is actually smaller than it looks. It's probably around 3 kilometers from one end of the room to the other, she said. 3 kilometers? That's still quite large. Not if you compare it to the largest labyrinth in the world. That place is so vast that nobody has managed to fully explore it even after 200 years, and it is estimated to be as big as this entire world. Seriously. Yes, and it's the only EX rank labyrinth in the world. X rank. Same as my magic talent, huh? Leo wondered to himself. Are you done admiring the view? If so, let's move, Miss Camille said to him sometime later. Yes, let's go. He nodded. The two of them started wandering the first floor of the labyrinth. A few minutes later, Miss Camille said, "There's a monster up ahead." Got it. Leo followed the direction of the mana disturbance until he could see the monster. What the hell is that? A tree monster. He wondered to himself after seeing the appearance of this monster, which was literally a small tree with red leaves as its hair and an angry face on its trunk. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. He quickly casted Void Spear, throwing it at the tree monster. When the Void Spear struck the monster, it exploded like someone had planted a bomb inside its body, causing sharp wooden splinters to fly everywhere. Leo subconsciously used Dark Shield, protecting himself from the splinters. Wow. I should really be careful and choose how I kill monsters more wisely. That could have gone really bad if I didn't have Dark Shield. He sighed in relief afterward. Miss Camille approached him from behind and asked, "Do you know what you did wrong just now?" "Yes. I should have used Black Bullet instead." "No, you should have used your sword. That way, there would be no risk of it exploding in your face." "I see. I guess I have been too reliant on magic since I started focusing on it." She nodded and she continued to speak. "Anyways, that monster just now was a Crimson Treant. They can use earth magic, so you need to watch out for that." Understand. They continued to explore the first floor of the labyrinth shortly after. A few minutes later, Leo encountered another Crimson Treant. This time, he approached it from behind with a sword instead of using magic. However, unlike using magic, he was unable to kill the Crimson Treant with a single hit, leaving only a deep scar in the monster's body. When the Crimson Treant realized it was being attacked, it suddenly turned around and casted earth magic. Leo could see a green magic circle appear in front of the Crimson Treant right before it released a sharp projectile at him. Seeing this, he used Void Step to dodge the projectile before attacking the Crimson Treant a couple more times with the sword and killing it. Afterward, he harvested its mana core and tossed it into his spatial ring. "My sword is too weak compared to my magic," he sighed. "You know you can make your sword stronger and sharper by infusing it with your mana," Miss Camille suddenly said. "Really? How do I do that?" "Just treat it as though it's a magic circle and put some mana into it. However, you need to control the amount of mana you infuse because you can easily cause the sword to break if you infuse too much mana into it." "Alright, let me try it." He proceeded to guide his mana towards the sword before infusing it with mana. The ordinary-looking sword now emitted a sharp aura that looked like it could cut anything, even metal. Wow, this is really cool. Your sword will eventually run out of mana, but you just need to infuse your mana into it again. Understand. Leo immediately went to look for another monster. Couple of minutes later, he found another crimson treant. This time, he was able to slice through its entire body with a single sword swing. That felt great. I barely felt any resistance when I struck the monster, almost like slicing tofu with a knife. Then he realized something and he asked, "By the way, does this count as using magic?" Technically it is considered magic, but most people don't really consider it as magic since even people who cannot use magic spells can use this technique, so you can use this back in the academy if you want. I see, that's good to know. Leo looked at the magic system to see if that last kill had counted towards his quest, and to his surprise, it actually did. Looks like as long as I kill them with mana that doesn't exceed Tier 2 magic spells, the system will count it as killing monsters with magic, he said to her. That's good news, she said. The two of them proceeded to explore the rest of the floor while hunting the monsters on it. Where do you usually look for artifacts in labyrinths? Leo asked sometime later when they hadn't found a single artifact yet. Light's novel. It'd be a miracle if you can find an artifact on the first floor of a labyrinth. Most artifacts are on the lowest floor and in the boss room. A boss, huh? I guess it's only natural for dungeons to have bosses at the end. This is how things usually go in video games, after all. Sometime later, they reached the staircase that led to the second floor of the labyrinth. Do we go down now? Or should we look around a little more to make sure we didn't miss anything? Leo asked. There's no point staying up here. Like I said, you won't find any artifacts up here. We probably missed a monster or two, but there are more downstairs, Miss Camille said. Understand. Then let's go to the second floor. He nodded. They began descending the staircase shortly after. The walk down was much quicker this time, lasting only half a minute. Lightsonville. What the? Leo's eyes widened with surprise when he saw the scenery. They were still in a forest, but the trees on this floor had dried up, and the grasses and flowers were withered, almost as though this place had been dead for a long time. Such a drastic change from the first and second floor. He mumbled in a dazed voice. Miss Camille glanced around and said, Looks like there will only be another floor or two before we reach the boss room. How can you tell? He asked. You're looking at it. The more the environment changes, the closer we are to the boss room. I see. What about the monsters? Will they also be different? Yes. She nodded. They continued to explore the labyrinth shortly after. On the second floor of the labyrinths, there were boar-like monsters. Their body and head were covered by brown armor, almost like an armadillo. One would normally need at least 2,500 magic power to damage these monsters, but Leo could easily make them explode with a single void spear, killing them instantly. About 2 hours later, they arrived at the third floor of the labyrinth, and just like the second floor, this floor also had drastic changes in the environment. The trees on this floor were no longer withered. They were completely burnt, almost as though a fire had consumed this place recently. Geez, what happened here? Leo muttered in a dumbfounded voice as the scent of burnt wood and earth penetrated his nose. Let's quickly explore this floor. This place isn't good for my lungs, he said with his hands covering his face. The scent is not real, it's created by the labyrinth. You can protect yourself by covering your body with mana. However, this will slowly chip away your mana. As long as I don't have to deal with the smell, Leo said as he proceeded to cover his own body using his mana, immediately blocking the burning smell but not blocking his sense of smell or his ability to breathe. Once he was prepared, Leo started exploring the third floor of the labyrinth. On this floor, there were zombie-like monsters, but their bodies were horribly burned and was an eyesore to look at, so Leo struck them as soon as he saw them using Void Spear. After clearing every monster they encountered on the third floor until they reached the staircase, Leo finished one of his quests. You have completed a quest. plus 10,000 magic experience plus 50 magic points. I have finished the quest that requires me to kill monsters with magic. I also have enough magic points to increase my magic power. I'm going to do it before the boss room to increase my chances of killing it. Alright, Miss Camille nodded. Not only will my magic power spike again after this purchase, but my magic shop will also level up. I wonder what happens then. Will there be more purchase options? Leo wondered to himself as he opened up the magic shop to purchase increased magic power for 100 magic points. Confirm purchase, increase magic attack for 100 magic points. Confirm. Ding. You have purchased increased magic attack from the magic shop. Your magic power has greatly increased. Ding. Magic shop has leveled up. Magic shop has been upgraded. Magic shop. Awaken random affinity, 300 MP. Increase mana capacity, 3000 MP. Increase magic power, 5000 MP. Improve magic affinity. Increase mana regeneration, 20 MP. Acquire random F-rank passive skill, 100 MP. Acquire random E-rank passive skill, 500 MP. Acquire random D-rank passive skill, 1000 MP. Total MP, 21. Shop experience, 70/20th 000. Increase mana regeneration and passive skills? This magic system is getting more and more interesting. Leo thought to himself after seeing the upgrades the magic system had provided the magic shop. And since I have 21 magic points left, I might as well increase my mana regeneration as well. Confirm purchase, increase mana regeneration for 20 magic points. You have purchased increase mana regeneration from the magic shop. Your mana regeneration has increased to 5. Mana regeneration. Recovers mana every second. Lights novel. Does this mean I will recover 5 mana every second? This is amazing. Although it's not as powerful as Miss Camille's S-rank artifact, I'm sure it'll eventually reach that point and even surpass it. Are you done yet? Miss Camille asked him sometime later. Yes, I'm finished. Let's go. He nodded, and they proceeded to descend the narrow staircase until they reached the bottom of the labyrinth. Unlike the first 3 floors of the labyrinth, there was no forest on the 4th floor. Lights fell. The 4th floor appeared to be underground in some kind of cave, and there was a narrow path that led to a massive gate in the end. This gate oozed with a dangerous aura that made it difficult for those with a weak mentality to approach. I'm guessing that's the boss room? Leo asked the obvious. And he continued, what can I expect inside? A massive boss? Or will I be fighting a group of monsters? It depends. You will fight one boss most of the time, but there will be times where you have to fight 2, even 3 bosses at once. There's something else you should be aware of before you go inside. Once you enter a boss room, you will not be able to leave until you either defeat the boss and all of the monsters inside or use a teleport artifact, so it's literally do or die. Leo swallowed nervously after learning about this information. Although he wasn't worried at this moment because of Miss Camille's presence, he might not be able to feel the same way in the future when he has to enter labyrinths by himself. Alright, I'm ready to fight the boss, Leo said after taking a moment to prepare himself. As they approached the menacing doors, Leo could feel the ominous aura wrapping around his body, making him feel even more uncomfortable, and it felt like he was being watched. Once they were before the doors, Leo pushed it open just slightly enough for them to walk through. The moment Leo and Miss Camille walked through the doors, it slammed shut behind them, startling Leo for a moment. This is the boss room? Leo was amazed by the scenery before him. He had expected the boss room to be similar to boss rooms in video games, which mostly consists of enclosed rooms where there's very little space to run. However, this boss room before him was the complete opposite. The room was anything but small, and it was so vast that Leo could not see the end. Are you sure this is the boss room? It looks just like the 1st floor, Leo said in a dumbfounded voice. Just wait, Miss Camille said. Literally seconds after she said those words, Leo could see the scenery change right before his eyes. The green trees were withering at such a rapid speed that he could see them turning green to brown within seconds. Once the trees were withered, Leo could see a big shadow descending from the sky, landing in the middle of the room. The moment this entity landed in the middle of the room, all of the withered trees began to burn, turning the room into a sea of fire. Leo's eyes widened as he stared at this entity that resembled a butterfly, but it had a pair of flaming wings. The butterfly was about 10 meters tall, and every time it flapped its wings, fireballs would fly all over the place. Are you sure this is an E-rank labyrinth? This monster looks incredibly threatening and powerful. And it's freaking huge. Leo exclaimed a moment later. That's a fiery butterfly, a D-rank monster, but it's been enhanced with gargantuan. All boss monsters are stronger than normal monsters because they all have what we call modifiers, something that empowers them, making them somewhat unique monsters. Gargantuan is a modifier that increases the monster's size and overall strength. It's one of the more powerful modifiers out there. However, this makes it a lot easier to hit them, so as long as you can avoid its attacks, you will be fine. Leo stared at the fiery butterfly with narrowed eyes. After taking a deep breath, he cast Void Spear and started to overcharge it. Leo overcharged his Void Spear until he could feel a force trying to resist him. However, he continued to overcharge it for a few more seconds until the force was becoming too strong for him to bear. After taking a moment to take aim, he lunged the Void Spear at the fiery butterfly that was still unaware of their presence. The Void Spear looked very ordinary when it was still in Leo's grasp, but the moment it left his hand, it expanded in size until it was as large as a missile. This Void Spear flew a couple of meters before disappearing from their space, appearing only when it was right in front of the fiery butterfly, leaving no room for it to react. The Void Spear struck the fiery butterfly and exploded with an immense amount of magic power, creating a small ripple that swept the room. After being struck by the Void Spear, the fiery butterfly fell to the ground with more than half of its body gone. However, despite that, it was still not dead. Leo was surprised by the Void Spear's prowess, but he was even more surprised by how much his magic powers have grown since the purchase. Miss Camille stared at Leo with wide eyes. That Void Spear just now had around 7,000, perhaps even 8,000 magic power. That's already more than what most C-rank adventurers are capable of with Tier 4 magic spells. Not to mention that he was using a Tier 2 magic spell. Just a day ago, Leo's Void Spear would only reach around 5,000 magic power even when it's fully overcharged. For it to increase by over 2,000 in a single day was unprecedented until today. I'm going to finish off the boss, Leo said as he quickly rushed over to the collapsed boss using void steps, teleporting every few steps. When he arrived in front of the boss, he released another Void Spear into its face, killing it this time. Your mastery rank for Void Spear has increased to B. You have completed a quest. Reward, plus 7,000 magic experience, plus 35 magic points. Once the fiery butterfly stopped moving and the flame on its wings died down, Leo went to harvest its mana core. A few moments later, he retrieved a fist-sized mana core from the fiery butterfly's corpse that required both of his hands to hold. Whoa! This mana core is huge, he exclaimed as he showed Miss Camille the harvest. That is pretty normal from boss monsters with the gargantuan modifier, she calmly said. How much do you think I will be able to acquire from selling a mana core of this size? He then asked. A few 100,000, give or take. A few $100,000? Leo was excited to hear such information, as he was only expecting to get a couple $1,000s out of it. Sometime later, Leo asked, so where do we go now? I defeated the boss, so where is the artifact? She looked around and said, it's somewhere in this place. We just need to look for it. Just like monsters, artifacts should cause some disturbance. However, we cannot stay here for too long because the labyrinth will collapse in a few hours. Then what are we waiting for? Leo immediately started running around the place. He would immediately stop whenever he senses a slight mana disturbance in the air, but due to the fiery butterfly's random fireballs that attacked the whole map, there were pretty much mana disturbances everywhere, making it much more difficult to find the artifact. 2 hours later and still empty-handed, Leo decided to take a break from searching for the artifact and just casually walked around. Light's novel. Damn it. Why is it harder to find the artifact than it is to defeat the boss? He sighed out loud. I wonder if Miss Camille found it yet. He wondered, as they had separated to make searching a lot easier. They also agreed to meet up at the staircase in 3 hours, so he had less than an hour to find the artifact. After walking for another 10 minutes, Leo stopped his movements when he noticed something shimmering on the ground about 50 meters in front of him. Is that it? He immediately rushed forward, his blood pumping with adrenaline. Once he reached the spot with the shiny object, he picked up the object and began inspecting it. What is this? He mumbled to himself as he looked at the red metallic ball between his fingers. Lights fell. This ball felt like it was made out of metal, and it was quite small, around the size of a baby's fist, and it was bright red. Leo wasn't even sure that he'd picked up an artifact when he saw this object. However, he kept it with him just in case. Sometime later, he met up with Miss Camille at the staircase that would lead them back up to the 3rd floor. Did you find anything? She asked him. I found this red metal ball, but I'm not sure what it does. He showed her the red ball. Oh, that's a pretty good find, she said after glancing at it. Really? What kind of artifact is it? It's not really an artifact. It's an affinity orb. You use it to create artifacts. Judging by the looks, this is probably a fire affinity orb. If you use it to create an artifact, the artifact will have a fire effect that will benefit those with a fire magic affinity. They're actually quite rare and expensive. This one will cost more than the fiery butterfly's mana core. I see. Although it wasn't an artifact, Leo was still quite excited about it, as he could just sell it for money and then he could use that money to buy artifacts. Since this affinity orb costs more than the fiery butterfly's mana core, he could buy many artifacts with it. He then asked, by the way, what happens if we miss an artifact in this place? Does it disappear once the labyrinth collapses? She nodded and said, once a labyrinth collapses, it disappears completely, so you cannot dig it out of the ground even if you want to. I don't even want to think about potentially missing out on an artifact because the labyrinth collapsed before I could find it. That would break my poor heart. He sighed. That just means that you're not fated to acquire the artifact, and there's nothing you can do about that. Anyways, let's leave this place. The labyrinth is beginning to collapse. Leo nodded. All right, let's leave. The two of them proceeded to walk up the staircase, returning to the 3rd floor. Then they made their way straight to the 2nd floor, not stopping their legs until they reached the end of the 1st floor. I cannot imagine doing this in a labyrinth with over 10 floors. Hell, do people even have the time to look for artifacts at that point? He asked as they approached the entrance. The bigger the labyrinth, the longer it will take for them to collapse. Some labyrinths have managed to remain for months even after the boss was defeated. I see. That's quite relieving to hear. A few more minutes later, the two of them exited the labyrinth and returned to the wilderness. After exiting the labyrinth, the magic system recognized his quest completion. You have completed a quest. Plus 20,000 magic experience, plus 100 magic points. Ding! Magic system has leveled up. Artifact shop has been unlocked. Quest shop has been unlocked. Magic system. System level 3. Magic talent EX+. Dark magic affinity S. Wind magic affinity F. Magic experience 14,200/1000000. Magic points 136. Artifact shop and quest shop? I will have to take a look at this once we return to the city, Leo thought to himself after seeing this new function. As they got closer to the city walls, Leo realized that he wasn't getting any more quests even though he would normally acquire more quests the moment he finishes them. Perhaps I have to finish the last special quest before I can receive more quests from the system? Or do I have to get my quests from the quest shop now? How troublesome. He sighed inwardly. After returning to her mansion, Miss Camille asked Leo, What are your next quests? I don't have any, he shook his head. I think I have to finish Nina's quest before the magic system gives me more quests. This is the first time that I haven't received a new quest in so long. They're usually given to me instantly after I finish the previous quests. That sounds troublesome. Miss Camille frowned. Without any quests, his progress for the magic system was halted. After pondering for some time, Miss Camille spoke. I wanted to delay Nina's issue for a little longer, but since we need to complete her quest, I guess we can only help her as soon as possible. He nodded. Let's go speak with Nina tomorrow, after I sell the mana cores and the affinity orb. If you're thinking about selling the affinity orb to the Adventurers Guild, I advise you to not. Although they give fair prices for mana cores, they usually pay less for artifacts and other resources. If you really want to sell the affinity orb, you should try the auction house, or you can try selling it to someone who has a fire magic affinity. I can think of a few people in the academy who would pay a fortune for it. Really? Then I will try to sell it to one of these people in your mind. If that doesn't work, I'll go to the auction house. He nodded. After taking a shower and eating dinner, Leo returned to his guest room, where he opened up the magic system to take a look at its new unlocks. He decided to check the quest shop first since it seemed to be the least interesting. Quest shop. Quest shop level 1. Defeat an F-rank adventurer, 1 MP. Reward, 10 MP. Use 100,000 mana, 5 MP. Reward, 20 MP. Kill 100 monsters, 10 MP. Lights novel. Reward, 100 MP lights novel. Explore labyrinth, 20 MP. Reward, 300 MP. Learn tier 5 magic spell, 100 MP. Reward, 500 MP. Quest completed, 0 out of 10. These are some simple quests. The rewards are also quite generous considering how much I have to spend to purchase them. However, he still decided to save his magic points for now. After looking at the quest shop, Leo opened up the artifact shop next. Artifact shop. Artifact shop level 1. Strength bracelet, F-rank minor strength boost. 5 MP. Stamina bracelet, F-rank minor stamina boost. 5 MP. Magic ring, F-rank minor magic power boost. 5 MP. Mana regeneration ring, F-rank increase mana regeneration by 5. 10 MP. Artifact purchase, 0/10. A list of F-rank artifacts filled Leo's vision after opening the artifact shop. There were literally hundreds of artifacts that he could purchase from the shop. However, he didn't know how it worked. If I purchased one of these artifacts, would the magic system create it for me? Can it even do something like that? Creating artifacts out of thin air. As impossible as it sounded, Leo didn't doubt the magic system's power, and he truly believed that the magic system was capable of such feats. After pondering for a bit, Leo decided to purchase the mana regeneration ring for 10 magic points. You have purchased mana regeneration ring from the artifact shop for 10 MP. Equip mana regeneration ring. Yes, Leo confirmed. Ding! You have equipped mana regeneration ring. Leo looked at his fingers afterward, but he couldn't see any rings on his fingers, causing him to raise an eyebrow. The magic system opened up another screen the following moment, showing an outline of a human figure and 12 boxes, exactly like a character's equipment screen in video games. 11 of these boxes were empty, but one of the boxes located at the avatar's right hand had a blue ring inside. Seriously? Leo mumbled in a dumbfounded voice when he realized what he was seeing. When he tapped on the box with the ring with his finger, a small screen appeared right next to it. Mana regeneration ring. Mana regeneration +5. Leo couldn't help but smile after understanding the artifact shop's real function. This is just like an RPG. This is my character equipment screen, and these empty boxes are my artifact slots. How wonderful. Character equipment screen had 1 head slot, 1 necklace slot, 2 ring/bracelet slots, 2 earring slots, 1 armor slot, 1 cloak slot, 1 glove slot, 1 shoe slot, and last but not least 2 weapon slots, 1 in each hand. Furthermore, since these artifact slots are within the system, he should still be able to equip actual artifacts, potentially doubling the amount of artifacts he can use at once. Once again, I have underestimated the potential of this magic system. If it's already this powerful at level 3, what else can I acquire with a level 4 magic system? When will I be able to buy S-rank artifacts? Will I be able to purchase set artifacts? He wondered inwardly as he closed his eyes and pondered about all of the possibilities, eventually falling asleep sometime later. After waking up in the morning, Leo immediately opened up the artifact shop and started looking through the list with more focus now that he had a good night's sleep. After spending 2 hours looking through the list while still in bed, he eventually decided to purchase a few more F-rank artifacts, even purchasing a second mana regeneration ring because of its usefulness. Bronze gauntlets, minor boost to strength. Silver chainmail, minor boost to physical and magical defense. Mana regeneration ring, mana regeneration +5. Green boots, moderate boost to stamina. Total cost of these 4 artifacts was 40 magic points. Although he wanted to purchase a weapon artifact as well as an earring artifact, they were simply too expensive for him, with most weapons costing over 100 magic points. Once he was satisfied, Leo got off the bed and went to do his morning routine before meeting Miss Camille and Sophie in the dining room. After breakfast, Leo and Miss Camille made their way to the Adventurers Guild, where Leo sold his mana cores. I can give you $710,000 for all of your mana cores. What do you think? The worker there asked him. I think that's great. Leo nodded. After selling his mana cores, Leo's bank broke through the million mark, making him feel profoundly elevated, as this is his first time having so much money. $1 million! I am a freaking millionaire. Haha. He laughed inwardly. Once he was finished at the Adventurers Guild, Leo went back outside and hopped into the car where Miss Camille had been waiting. Are you done? She asked him. Yes, let's return to the academy now. He nodded. As they drove on the road, Leo asked, So I've killed a lot of monsters and even cleared a labyrinth recently. When can I get a promotion as an adventurer? You can take an examination whenever you want until you reach D rank. If you want to go past D rank, you'll need to do other missions besides monster hunting and earn some real reputations. Though I can probably vouch for you up to B rank, she said. So I could have taken the examination just now? I guess I'll do it the next time I visit that place. And he continued, Anyways, can you tell me about the people who would buy my affinity orb? Pretty much any student with a fire magic affinity would be willing to buy that affinity orb from you. However, you'll be able to get much more from the top students. Crimson Witch, for example. She would definitely pay a hefty amount for it, Miss Camille said. The Crimson Witch, huh? I have heard about her. She has the highest fire magic affinity in the entire academy, right? Light's novel. That's right. She's also a B-rank adventurer with a decent reputation. Alright, where can I find this Crimson Witch? He then asked. You probably won't get to meet her until the wilderness training course. In fact, most students are preparing for the training course, so the academy will be pretty empty for the new week or two. I see. Well, I am not in a hurry to sell the affinity orb, so I can wait. Through arriving at the academy, Leo and Miss Camille went to the training center, where Nina Wraith was already there and waiting. Of course, she had received a call from Miss Camille last night telling her to wait for them at the training center. Once they were inside a private training room, Miss Camille spoke. Tell us about your plans to resurrect your mother. Nina remained calm and said, I'm actually surprised that neither of you had asked me earlier. And she continued, Anyways, it's quite simple. I will prepare the magic circle for the resurrection magic, and Leo will use his mana to activate it. Miss Camille frowned and said, That's your plan? Where are the details? How do you expect Leo, who only started training magic recently, to have enough mana to activate the magic spell? What about the corpse? Without your mother's corpse, there is nothing to resurrect from. Don't worry, I have my mother's corpse. As for Leo's mana issue, I have this. Nina retrieved a crystal ball from her spatial ring and showed it to them. Leo narrowed his eyes at the liquid inside the crystal, as they resembled the ones inside mana cores, but the mana inside the crystal looked more pure. This will solve Leo's mana issue. This is a mana crystal, and there is about 90,000 mana contained inside. As long as Leo uses this, he will be able to activate the magic spell. However, he still needs about 9,000 mana without the mana crystal. Lightsenville. Miss Camille wasn't surprised that Nina had a mana crystal since that was her first speculation on her. Nina planned on solving Leo's mana issue. What kind of artifact is that? Leo asked a moment later. It's not an artifact. It's just a crystal ball filled with mana. They're quite expensive, but people use them when they run out of mana during dangerous situations. I see. Anyways, I have managed to achieve my goals quicker than expected, so we can resurrect your mother whenever you want, he then said. What? You have 9,000 mana already? How is that even possible? It hasn't even been a week since you claimed to have only 1,000 mana. Leo rubbed his nose and said in a smug manner, What can I say? I'm a genius, and Miss Camille is an excellent teacher. Nina was speechless, and she didn't believe for a second that Leo had managed to increase his mana capacity by 8,000 in less than a week with just pure talents alone, as that was simply impossible. Did he use some kind of forbidden magic to boost his mana capacity? But that kind of magic is even more dangerous than resurrection magic. Did he do it for me? But why? She wondered inwardly, feeling a weird emotion in her heart that she didn't recognize, completely misunderstanding the situation. Let's do it tonight, Nina said after snapping out of her daze. Tonight? Where do you plan on doing the ritual? Miss Camille asked. We can do it at my home. I have a large basement there, and my mother is also there, she said. Miss Camille pondered for a moment before shaking her head and speaking. No, we'll do the ritual here. What? Here? In the academy? Isn't that very risky? Leo asked her with a surprised look on his face. Yes, but we have facilities here that can prevent mana disturbance. Activating something like resurrection magic will definitely cause a powerful mana disturbance to occur, and if something like that happens in the middle of the city, the place will be flooded with police in minutes. Nina Wraith couldn't argue with Miss Camille about her reasoning, so she agreed. Okay, but I will have to move my mother's corpse. You can do that by yourself. We'll meet you behind the school library at midnight, Miss Camille said. Nina Wraith didn't linger there and immediately went back home to prepare. Are we seriously going to do this tonight? I don't think I am mentally prepared. Leo sighed. After all, they were messing with the dead, something he never imagined he would be doing. Honestly, the sooner we get this over with the better. What should we do until then? You can do whatever you want. I am also going to make some preparations. I cannot trust Nina to do this all by herself. Miss Camille disappeared shortly after, leaving Leo by himself. And since there was nothing else to do, he decided to just go home. When he reached the old dorm, Leo found Hank standing right outside his room. Hank? Do you need something from me? He asked. Oh, I just wanted to let you know about the investigation regarding your missing package. Unfortunately, there is nothing they can do. The person who delivered your package insisted that he had handed the stuff to you, and without any leads to the person who might have impersonated you, it's simply impossible to find the culprit. I see. Well, that's fine. I only wanted the package because I needed some clothes, but now that I acquired some money, I don't need the package anymore. Thank you for your efforts, Leo said. All right. If you ever need anything, you know where to find me. Once Hank left, Leo returned to his room. Where's Lilith? It's awfully quiet here without her, he thought to himself as he laid on the bed without anything to do. Out of boredom, Leo decided to look through the artifact shop again to see if he'd missed anything. A few hours later, Leo could see a figure appearing from the wall through the corner of his eyes, causing him to turn his head. Huh? Leo? You're back already. It was Lilith, and she was surprised to see him back so early. Yeah, we decided to come back to finish Nina's quest. Oh? Does that mean you're finally going to resurrect her mother? She asked in a curious voice, her eyes filled with anticipation. Light's novel. Yes, we're going to do it tonight. Tonight? That's quicker than I anticipated, but that's fine too. I can't wait to see you use resurrection magic, she smiled. Leo raised an eyebrow and proceeded to ponder in silence. What's wrong, Leo? She asked him a moment later. Hey, if I really manage to resurrect Nina's mother, do you want me to resurrect you as well? I'm sure you've thought about coming back from the dead many times, right? Lilith's eyes widened after hearing his question. Lightsenville. After a moment of silence, she smiled and said in a calm voice, Leo, I really appreciate your thoughts, but it will take a lot more than resurrection magic to bring me back from the dead. In fact, I'm not dead, so resurrection magic wouldn't work on me. Oh, right. You're just a soul. Just a soul, indeed. If you want to help me, you'll need to create a whole new body for me, and then you'll also need to attach my soul to that body. This is something that requires a tremendous amount of mana and talent to achieve. I see. Well, if I somehow reach that level in the future and we're still friends by then, I will help you. He smiled. What do you mean if we're still friends by then? Of course we'll be friends. We'll be friends forever. She frowned in a cute manner. Even if you say that, nothing lasts forever, especially something as frail as friendship. A bittersweet smile appeared on Leo's face as he spoke, almost as though he'd recalled something painful. Leo. Anyways, want to hear about my adventures in the wilderness? I actually explored a labyrinth for the first time yesterday. Leo suddenly changed the topic. What? Really? Tell me about it. Lilith's face immediately became filled with thrill. He nodded and proceeded to tell her about his experience in the labyrinth until it was time for dinner. When he arrived at the cafeteria, it was almost completely empty. There were so few students in the place that they could be counted with 2 hands. After dinner, Leo returned to his room, where he continued to talk with Lilith until it was almost midnight. I guess it's about time I start heading to the library to meet up with Miss Camille and Nina. I hope nothing goes wrong. He sighed as he got off the bed. Why would you say that? I wouldn't be surprised if you just jinxed yourself with those words. After leaving the dorm, Leo made his way to the library while trying his best to avoid being seen by people. 15 minutes later, he arrived at the library where Nina was already waiting for him. Where's Miss Camille? She asked him. I don't know, but she should be here soon. He shrugged. Sure enough, Miss Camille showed up a few minutes later. Are you two ready? She asked them. Yes. They both nodded with serious looks on their faces. Then let's head to the facility. Follow me. After leaving the library, Miss Camille led Leo and Nina to a large building about 20 minutes away. This is the Teacher's Training Center. Nina recognized the building when she saw it. Teachers in the academy also had their own training center. In fact, the Teacher's Training Center was several times more sturdy than the Students' Training Center for obvious reasons. If a teacher trained in the Students' Training Center, that building would not last a day, hence why they had their own place. Nobody comes here at this time, and I can access this place whenever I want. The rooms are also enhanced with magic, so any mana disruption we cause will not leak outside, Miss Camille explained. I see. This is definitely much better than my basement. Nina mumbled. They entered the building through the back door with Miss Camille's key. Once they were in one of the training rooms, Miss Camille locked the door and said to them, All right, you can start now. Nina Wraith nodded with a serious expression on her face. She proceeded to take out several glass jars that were filled with red liquid. Leo swallowed nervously after seeing the jars, and he asked in a dazed voice, Please tell me that is not what I think it is. Nina responded in a calm voice as she opened the jar. It's blood. My blood. There were 7 glass jars there, and each of them contained about a gallon of blood. Leo couldn't imagine how long it took her to collect this much blood, much less how she did it. Once she opened all of the jars, Nina proceeded to take out a large brush before dipping it in the blood. Then she started drawing a massive magic circle on the floor. That's going to be a pain in the ass to clean. Leo felt a strong urge to facepalm himself after seeing Nina's actions. Is this really going to work? He asked Miss Camille, who was guarding the door. Magic spells can be activated as long as there is a magic circle. The only question is whether you have enough mana and the magic affinity to do so. Even if the magic circle is made out of blood? He raised an eyebrow. Yes. Although the blood isn't necessary for resurrection magic, it will give us a greater chance of success because she's blood related to the person she's trying to resurrect. Do you still think she has no chance? He then asked. She nodded and said, There's 0 chance that this will work. I mean, you might be able to half-resurrect her mother, but true resurrection isn't possible, especially with the amount of mana you're using. That's why I said this will never work. And she continued, She's only wasting her time, effort, and resources by doing this. However, I am not going to stop her. I had already warned her, but she refused to listen. Furthermore, this might be the only way for her to accept the fact that it's impossible to resurrect her mother. I see. Leo mumbled. If Nina witnessed for herself that the resurrection had failed, she might finally give up trying to resurrect her mother. About 10 minutes later, Nina finished drawing the magic circle that filled up half of the room. I am finished. Miss Camille, can you double-check to make sure there's nothing wrong with the magic circle? Nina asked her. Miss Camille didn't say anything and walked to the magic circle. What do you think about the situation, Lilith? He asked her in a low voice. Lilith, who was staring at the magic circle, said in a nonchalant voice, Miss Camille is right. She won't be able to resurrect her mother like this, and it's not because of your lack of mana. I mean, that is also a reason, but it's not the main reason. What's the main reason? He asked. I will tell you after all of this ends, she said with a mysterious smile on her face. Seriously? Why can't you tell me now? What if I get hurt while doing this? If I die, you won't have anyone to talk to. Don't worry, you'll be fine. I have faith in you. Lilith flew away to look at the magic circle right after saying that. Sometime later, Miss Camille said, The magic circle is right. Now we just need your mother's corpse. I have her right here, Nina said as she retrieved a coffin from her spatial ring before placing the coffin right in the center of the magic circle. Lights fell. Leo, we're ready to resurrect my mother now, she said to him. Leo rubbed his eyes and took several deep breaths before approaching the bloody magic circle. When he got close enough to the magic circle, he noticed the dried-up corpse inside the coffin that was in a really bad condition, sending chills all over his body. My God. This feels like something straight out of a horror movie, he cried inwardly. Here you go, Leo. Nina approached him and handed him the Mana Crystal Lights novel. Let me know when you're ready. Leo turned to look at Miss Camille, who said, Before you begin, let me say something. Nina, if your mother becomes a zombie, a monster, then I will have no choice but to destroy her. If you stop me, I will kill you as well. Do you understand? After a moment of silence, Nina nodded with a serious expression on her face. I understand. Miss Camille turned to look at Leo next and said, Even though I said that I will destroy her, you're going to be the one who's actually going to do it. What? Why me? He exclaimed. Because you agreed to help her. But that's because of... I know, and I don't care. It won't change the fact that you're helping her. Consider this part of your training. Seeing the stubborn look on her face, Leo gave up on trying to convince her. She's right. I may have been forced to do this by the magic system, but the magic system is part of me now, and as its owner, I have to bear some responsibility. Just like a pet and its owner, the owner will have to bear their pet's responsibility even if they did something that was against the owner's wishes. Sometime later, Leo spoke with a resolute expression on his face. All right, I am ready. Nina nodded and said, Place your hands on the crystal and activate the magic circle. He raised an eyebrow and asked, "How do I activate a magic circle that I didn't create?" "You'll have to stand in the magic circle and release your mana. Make sure you don't step on the magic circle because even the slightest mistake could ruin the whole thing." "Seriously?" Leo looked at the magic circle and the corpse in the middle of it. After taking a deep breath, he started walking into the magic circle while making sure he didn't accidentally step on the blood on the floor. Once he was in the center of the magic circle and standing right beside the coffin with the corpse, Leo closed his eyes and began releasing his mana. "Good luck, Leo," Lilith said as she hovered above him. The magic circle started reacting the moment it sensed Leo's mana, quickly absorbing his mana. Unbeknownst to Leo, the blood on the floor started to levitate off the floor and floated around him and the coffin. Nina swallowed nervously as she watched, her heart throbbing like crazy. "Mother, please, I want to see you again." She tightly balled her hands into fists and gritted her teeth. Meanwhile, Leo could feel his mana quickly being absorbed, running out of mana within half a minute, but thanks to the mana crystal, he was able to keep on feeding the magic circle with mana. A few more minutes later, once the mana crystal was on the verge of running out of mana, the magic circle suddenly shone with light. "Leo, get out of the magic circle. It's going to activate," Miss Camille shouted at him. Leo immediately opened his eyes and rushed out of the magic circle. Once he was out of the magic circle, Leo watched as the blood flew towards the coffin, almost as though it was being absorbed by the corpse inside. The room was completely silent as everyone there waited for the results. A moment later, Leo suddenly felt a wave of bloodlust sweep the room, the same kind of bloodlust he felt when encountering monsters but much worse. His heart began throbbing loudly, almost as though he'd just finished running a marathon, and his back was soaked in cold sweat. Suddenly, just like a horror movie, a pale hand came out of the coffin, grabbing the side of the box. Mother. Tears flowed from Nina's eyes when she saw this, but when she tried to rush to the coffin, Miss Camille stepped in front of her and blocked her path. And without saying anything to Nina, she spoke in a cold voice. "Leo, kill it!" "What?" Leo raised his eyebrows, but before he could ask any questions, the corpse in the coffin suddenly jumped out and pounced at him. "What the fuck?" He cursed out loud as he subconsciously jumped backward. Once he landed several meters away, he looked at the thing that just tried to attack him. "Holy shit," he muttered in a dazed voice as his gaze landed on the human that stood in the location that he'd just retreated from. However, besides having the figure of a human, the rest of this entity looked anything but human with holes all over its body, not to mention the color of its skin that resembled rotten meat. "Leo, what are you doing standing there? Hurry up and kill it before it kills you." Miss Camille shouted at him when he stood there in a daze, snapping him awake. "All right." Leo quickly composed himself before shooting a black bullet at Nina's mother, who was just a soulless zombie that was filled with bloodlust. However, the black bullet was nowhere close to hitting the target, missing her head by several inches. Although he was unaware, Leo had subconsciously missed the target on purpose. Even though the entity before him wasn't a human, she was still Nina's mother, and he has never tried to attack another human with the intention to kill before. "No. Don't hurt her. She's my mother." Nina started shouting. "Are you blind? Does that thing look like a human being to you? She's turned into a zombie. Forget about being your mother, she's no different than a monster now. And no, I'm sure my mother is in there somewhere. Just let me speak with her. Please." Nina begged her with teary eyes. "I refuse," Miss Camille coldly said. "I will talk to her no matter what." Nina suddenly activated her mana and summoned an army of skeletons inside the room, surrounding Miss Camille. "You think you can stop me with this?" Miss Camille sneered. Her body suddenly emitted a bright and golden light. When the skeletons were exposed to this golden light, their entire body quickly turned black before disintegrating until there was nothing left. As for the zombie, it started screaming in pain even though the golden light was nowhere near it. "No. Stop it. You're hurting her." Nina started running towards her zombie mother. Che, that's dangerous. Leo wanted to stop her, but he suddenly heard Miss Camille's voice. Leo, don't stop her. If she wants to die, let her die. We will kill the zombie afterward. Leo's body froze after hearing Miss Camille's ruthless words. He turned to look at her with a perplexed expression on his face. Let her die? Can I do something that cruel? He turned to look at Nina a moment later, who had just arrived before her mother. Mother, it's me, Nina, your daughter. Do you remember me? Nina approached her rotting mother with an emotion expression on her face. Please, I don't want to lose you again. You promised that you would start a new life with me in this city. Ah! Nina screamed when her mother suddenly struck her, causing her to fall to the floor. However, she quickly got back up and approached her mother again, ignoring the blood that was flowing down her arm. Mother, we left the city to start a new life, to lead a better life. We can still do it. You and me. Please, Arf. Her mother suddenly lunged forward with her mouth wide open, seemingly trying to take a chunk of flesh out of Nina's body. Nina closed her eyes, but she didn't run away. Are you really going to let her kill you? Leo's voice suddenly resounded, followed by a screaming noise that came from in front of Nina. Nina subconsciously opened her eyes to see that her mother was missing one of her limbs and even half a shoulder. Mother! She cried out loud before turning to look at Leo, who had just used Black Bullet. I think it's about time that you snap out of your delusions and open your eyes, Nina Wraith. Your mother is gone. Are you really going to continue disrespecting your deceased mother like this? Although I don't know anything about your relationship with your mother or your mother in general, I would like to believe that she's someone who would be against your current actions. Any reasonable and loving mother would never allow her children to be hurt, yet you're making your own mother hurt you. If I were your mother, I would be crying in heaven right now. Nina's body trembled after hearing Leo's words, her eyes overflowing with tears. After a moment of silence, she turned to look at her mother and spoke in a low voice. Mother, I'm really sorry for disturbing your eternal rest. My goal has always been to let you be at peace, yet here I am, doing the complete opposite. Since I am the reason you awoke, I will bear all responsibility and be the one to put you back to rest. Nina summoned her army of skeletons again, but she used it to surround her zombie mother this time. Lights Vlamikronem. Nina closed her eyes before commanding her army to attack the zombie. A few moments later, when she opened her eyes, Nina could see her mother on the floor, but she no longer bore any resemblance of a human and had turned into a pile of ash. Lights novel. Nina retrieved an empty glass jar before going to collect her mother's remains. After the whole ordeal was finished, Nina turned to look at Miss Camille and Leo. She lowered her body and bowed to them. I am really sorry for my selfishness in forcing the two of you to help me, but I do not regret my actions because I am finally able to let my mother rest in peace. I won't complain even if you decide to punish me. If you're really sorry, then you'll clean up the mess here. I won't be helping you, Miss Camille said. Leo, meet me in the infirmary tomorrow morning at 9. After saying these words, she turned around and walked out of the training room, but she didn't immediately leave, as she had to make sure that nobody would learn of their little event today. What are you going to do now? Leo suddenly asked Nina once they were alone. Who knows, but I will probably leave the academy, she sighed. Seriously? She nodded and said, I no longer have a reason to stay in the academy. The only reason I came here was to study about resurrection magic so that I could resurrect my mother. But where will you go after you leave? I am going to become an adventurer, and then I am going to avenge my mother by getting rid of all monsters in this world. That has always been a secondary goal of mine, after all. Getting rid of all monsters in this world? All by yourself. Leo mumbled in a dazed voice. I know, you don't need to say anything. However, I still want to try. Leo wanted to try to convince her to stay at the academy, but he realized that he had no reason to do so, nor did he know her well enough to convince her. I have no right to stop her from achieving her goals no matter how ridiculous they may seem. He sighed inwardly. Then he realized something else. What about me? What are my goals? I haven't really thought about it since coming to this world since I've been too busy training and doing what everyone around me wants me to do. What do I want to achieve in this world? Now that I've been given an opportunity to live my life to the fullest, I should do just that. He recalled when Miss Camille asked him to find a goal in this world, yet he hadn't thought of anything. In his old world, his goal was just to survive university and hopefully become a successful adult with enough money to live a stress-free life, but after being tossed into this crazy world with magic and monsters, he wasn't sure what he wanted to do. I'm going to clean up now. You can leave, Nina said to him as she started cleaning the bloodstains on the floor. I'll help you, Leo said, surprising her. Huh? Why would you do that? I've caused you nothing but trouble. I just feel like it. He shrugged and started helping her clean the blood off the floor with some towels that they had prepared beforehand. As they cleaned, Leo suddenly asked her, Hey, if you don't mind, can you tell me a little about yourself? Why did you decide to move to this city with your mother? Nina was a little reluctant at first, but she recalled saying she would accept any punishment they gave her, so she considered this as her punishment and said, My family lived in poverty. My mother was born with complications in her body that made it difficult for her to find work, and my father died when I was just 3 years old. He was trying to provide for us as an adventurer, but he didn't even last a month as one. The fact that our city was being ruled by a corrupt tyrant did not make it any easier for us. In fact, the majority of the city lived in poverty. You were either filthy rich or filthy poor, there was no in-between. Therefore, we decided to escape the city. However, leaving that city is easier said than done. We had to pay people to smuggle us out, but we didn't have any money, so in order to acquire the funds, my mother sold her body. Every day for almost 4 years, she would return home with new bruises on her body before her old ones could disappear. Once we had enough money, we smuggled ourselves out of the city, but before we could reach our destination, monsters attacked us. We survived only because some adventurers happened to be nearby and saved us, but my mother, she was not so lucky, as she was poisoned during the attack. She died before we could reach the city. After coming to the city, I found out that I had talent for dark magic, allowing me to enroll in this academy. The rest is history. Leo was speechless after hearing Nina's tragic backstory. He would have never imagined that she had to live such a difficult life if she didn't tell him. Compared to his own life? No, it couldn't even be compared. Now that he knew about her backstory, he could no longer hate her for trying to resurrect her mother. In fact, he would have willingly helped her if he knew about it beforehand. Thank you for telling me. And I am sorry about your mother. He sighed. After cleaning the training room, Leo and Nina left the training center through the back door. Once again, thank you for everything. If there's anything I can do for you before I leave the academy, don't hesitate to let me know. Nina thanked him again right before they went their separate ways. You have completed a special quest. Plus 100,000 magic experience, plus 500 magic points. Leo went straight back to his room afterward, but he had a bitter taste in his mouth that he could not get rid of. Once he was back inside his room, Leo turned to look at Lilith and said with a frown on his face, Isn't it about time you tell me about the main reason why the resurrection didn't work? I feel bad about not being able to resurrect her mother now. I swear, if your information could have helped me successfully resurrect her mother, we'll stop being friends. Lilith remained calm and spoke, Sure, I will tell you. The main reason why she would have never resurrected her mother was because that magic circle she used isn't a true resurrection magic circle. What? Then what kind of magic spell did she use? And why didn't Miss Camille stop it? Probably because she doesn't know it either. Lilith shrugged. And she continued, Leo, you're underestimating resurrection magic. Do you really think a child like her can somehow find a resurrection magic circle that has the ability to completely resurrect the dead? Not even someone like Miss Camille would be able to get her hands on real resurrection magic, Anyways, the resurrection magic that Nina used today is still considered resurrection magic, but it'll only turn them into zombies at best, so no matter what you did, her mother would not have been resurrected fully. Do you understand why it would have never succeeded in the first place? And even if you somehow did acquire the real resurrection magic, you will not have enough mana for it because that would require millions of mana and many people working together to activate it. Seriously. Leo sighed, feeling even more dejected than before. Don't feel bad, Leo. Even though you didn't manage to resurrect her mother, at least you gave Nina some freedom and peace of mind, I guess. Leo closed his eyes shortly after and tried to sleep while thinking about his future. What do I want to achieve in this world? What is my goal? For what reason am I even working so hard? Just to get stronger? He wondered inwardly. The following morning, Leo went to the infirmary to meet up with Miss Camille. Why are we meeting here? He asked. She looked at him and asked with a nonchalant expression, her thoughts unknown. Have you gotten any new quests now that you've finished helping Nina? She asked. Now that you mention it, even though I have completed Nina's quest, I didn't get any new quests. Since that's the case, we can only wait until you receive more quests. In the meantime, I want to give you a quest. Huh? You're giving me a quest? What kind? Leo raised an eyebrow. I want you to be promoted to a C-rank adventurer before the wilderness training course begins in 2 weeks, and you're going to do it by yourself. I won't be helping or guiding you. This also means that you'll need to enter the wilderness by yourself. Leo's jaw dropped after hearing her words. Isn't this a little sudden? Sudden? Leo, you have already been in this world for over a month, and I have been by your side pretty much this entire time. It's finally about time that you truly explore this world on your own, and I am saying this for your own good. You're still too naive, and your mindset is still with your old world. Unless you change, you will never truly become strong. Yesterday, you hesitated and failed to destroy the zombie. What point is your strength when you cannot do anything with it? Why are you training to become stronger? Do you remember what you told Nina? That she should snap out of her delusion and open her eyes? Leo, you should listen to your own advice. Open your eyes. This is no longer your world. Your naivety and kindness is only going to get you killed, and I don't want to see that happen. Miss Camille spoke with a painful look in her eyes. I have already lost one person that I truly trusted. I don't want to lose another one. She sighed inwardly. Leo fell silent after hearing her words. She's right. I cannot rely on her forever. This is also a good chance for me to find my goal, my purpose for struggling in this world, Leo thought to himself. That's all I have to say. You can leave now, Leo, Miss Camille said to him a moment later. I understand. Thank you for everything you have done. I will try to not disappoint you. Leo bowed to her before leaving the infirmary and returning to his own room. Light's novel. So what are you going to do now, Leo? Lilith asked him. Isn't it obvious? I am going to become a C-rank adventurer before the wilderness training course, and I won't come back to the academy until I achieve this goal. What? What about me? You should at least come back every other day to see me, Lilith exclaimed, clearly not liking the idea of Leo being away for too long. You survived many years without me. You can do it for a few weeks. He looked at her weirdly. Lightsonville. That was only because I didn't have anyone. It's different now. What if you get hurt or worse, die outside? Are you trying to stress me to death? You're crueler than you seem. He rubbed his eyes and sighed. Look, Lilith. I would bring you along with me outside, but that is obviously impossible since you cannot leave the academy premises. And it will be a pain in the ass coming back to the academy every 2 days just to see you. Therefore, there is nothing I can do about it. Lilith turned silent after hearing his words, but she also had a contemplating look on her face, almost as though she was thinking of something. What? What if I tell you that there is a way for you to bring me with you outside the academy? She suddenly said. What? Are you serious? If you knew something like that, why didn't you tell me earlier? He frowned. Because you would definitely refuse. I doubt you even trust me enough right now to agree to it. She sighed. Do you remember what you said to me when I hesitated to tell Miss Camille about the magic system? You won't know until you try. Lilith stared at him with a serious expression on her face. After a moment of silence, she spoke in a slow but clear voice. As you know, I require mana to keep my soul in shape. If the mana is not strong enough, I will die. If you form a contract with me and allow me to absorb your mana, I will be able to leave the academy and go wherever you go, even if you go into the wilderness. Leo's eyes widened with surprise. A contract? With you? He asked for confirmation just in case he heard it wrong. Indeed. However, your mana will continuously be drained in order to keep my soul healthy. He frowned and said, Even if I form a contract with you, I don't think I will have enough mana to keep you outside for long. How much mana will you even absorb? Around 100 mana per second, she said. Yeah, there's no way I will have enough mana for that, at least not right now. He shook his head. But it's possible in the future, right? I guess. He nodded. If he purchased the next tier of increased mana regeneration for 500 magic points, there was a good chance that he would have enough mana regeneration to keep Lilith's soul alive without any issues. At this moment, I have 15 mana regeneration. I was able to acquire 5 mana regeneration for 20 magic points, and with the next tier costing 500 magic points, I can expect 100 mana regeneration from it, probably. But the real question is, should I form this contract with Lilith? He pondered. As helpful as Lilith has been to him, even teaching him magic circles, he knew nothing about the contract, and it was not as though he fully trusted her just yet. Furthermore, due to this world's hatred and fear towards vampires, and with Lilith being a vampire, it wouldn't be unreasonable for Leo to doubt her even if it was unintentional. Can you tell me more about the contract? I will decide once I know everything about it. Lilith eagerly nodded her head and spoke. There's really nothing complicated about the contract. In fact, it's not really even a contract. It's just a magic spell that binds my soul to your body, allowing me to nourish off your mana. You won't be able to take over my body or something along those lines, right? He looked at her with a weird face. How many times do I have to tell you that I am not a ghost? As a soul, I cannot take over a body that already has a living soul, so it's literally impossible for me to take over your body. However, if you let me, I can control your mana and move your body that way. Of course, I can only do this if you allow me. Furthermore, the one who invokes this magic spell will become the master, so I am essentially your slave until you free me. This is also a big risk for me, but I trust you and I am willing to risk my life to explore the outside world with you. After being stuck in this academy for hundreds of years, I am desperate to go out. Seeing the serious expression on Lilith's face, Leo became more willing to form the contract, and he began pondering in silence. I promise you that I will be the best support out there. Since people cannot see me, I can help you gather information with ease, and I can even warn you of dangers way before you can even detect them. Lilith tried to convince him to agree by giving him reasons why he should, something that most people would die to have. After pondering for some time, Leo spoke. I have one last question. What will happen if I run out of mana to support you? In that case, I can just absorb the mana in the air until you have enough mana again. Since the world is filled with mana, I don't have to worry about instantly dying the moment you run out of mana. However, I won't be able to last like that for long. Is that so? I will give you my answer after I make a quick purchase, he said as he opened up the magic shop. Confirm purchase, increase mana regeneration for 500 MP. Confirm. Ding. You have purchased mana regeneration from the magic shop. Your mana regeneration has increased by 110. Mana regeneration, 125. 110 mana regeneration. This is even better than I anticipated. Even Miss Camille's S-rank artifact cannot compare to this. He looked at Lilith and said, Due to the magic system, I now recover 125 mana every second. If you require more than that, can the contract be cancelled? Yes, the contract can be cancelled. She nodded. All right, then I accept your proposal. Let's do the contract. Really? You're going to trust me? Lilith looked like she was about to cry. Isn't it a little too late to be asking me that? Hurry up before I change my mind. Oh, okay. Here's the magic circle. Please take as long as you need to memorize it. Leo took a seat on the bed and stared at the magic circle hovering above Lilith's hands. Many minutes later, after requiring more time than memorizing a Tier 3 magic circle, Leo finally memorized it. You have learned the magic spell, Soul Enslavement, Affinity, Dark Tier 5, Mana 10,000, Mastery Rank, F, Tier 5 magic spell. And what the hell is up with its name? Soul Enslavement? What an unpleasant-sounding spell, he exclaimed after seeing what Lilith taught him. I told you that I am also taking a very big risk, right? You're going to enslave my soul and then bind it to your body. It's the only way that I know of. He swallowed nervously and asked, Are you sure you want to do this? I won't bear any responsibility if anything happens to you. She nodded with a serious expression on her face. I am prepared. Do it. All right. Leo closed his eyes and took a deep breath. After opening his eyes, he lifted his arm and pointed his palm at Lilith, who was floating right in front of him. He summoned the magic circle inside his head and prepared to activate it. The moment he activated the magic circle, almost all of the mana inside his body was instantly drained. Light's novel. A large red magic circle suddenly appeared on Leo's palms, and it started to absorb Lilith the next moment. Lights fell. Lilith did not resist and allowed the magic circle to absorb her until there was nothing left. You have enslaved the soul, Lilith. The magic system notified him. Would you like to destroy the soul, Lilith? Leo's eyes widened with shock after seeing this notification, and he quickly exclaimed, No! I want to bind her to my body. Acknowledge. The soul Lilith is now bound to the host's body. Ding. You have acquired a new soul slave. In order to sustain soul slave Lilith, you will lose 100 mana every second. His mana would decrease by 100 every second, but due to his mana regeneration, it was almost as though it never happened. Once Leo successfully bound Lilith to himself, he waited for her to reappear again. A few seconds later, he watched as Lilith's head popped out from his chest, then the rest of her body. How do you feel? He asked her. Pretty normal, she said in a calm voice. What about you? I'm feeling a little exhausted right now due to mana fatigue, but that will recover soon, he said. Looks like everything went well then. Once again, thank you for this, Leo. You have no idea how much this means to me. Save your words. I don't want any thanks because I had my own reasons, he said. Oh? What kind of reasons, if you don't mind me asking? She looked at him with an intrigued gaze. Not telling you, he immediately refused. Don't be like that, Leo. We are what most would call more than just friends now. You can tell me anything, even your darkest secrets. Leo was speechless. Did I just make a grave mistake? He wondered if he would regret his decision later. Anyways, I'm going to the Adventurers Guild now. There's not much time before the Wilderness Training Course and I am still an F-rank adventurer. By the way, now that we're bound together, you can speak to me through your mind like telepathy, Lilith said to him without moving her mouth, her voice resounding inside his mind like magic. Like this. Leo tried speaking to her through his mind. Yes, this is pretty convenient. Now I can speak with you in public without looking completely crazy, he said. Sometime later, Leo signed out of the academy and called a taxi to the Adventurers Guild. When was the last time I left the academy premises? I don't even remember, but things have changed so much that it feels like I have stepped into a new world. Lilith viewed the city with her head phasing through the car's ceiling, her face filled with excitement, almost like a child going to the amusement park for the first time. Once they arrived at the Adventurers Guild, Leo went straight to the front desk and asked about the promotion examination. "Hello, I would like to take the promotion examination for E rank and D rank," Leo said to the staff member at the front desk. "Can I see your adventurer's ID?" Pretty woman behind the desk asked. "Sure." After receiving Leo's ID, the woman looked his information up. When she saw that he's only been an adventurer for a month, she looked at him with raised eyebrows and she spoke in a somewhat mocking tone. "I would understand it if you only want to take the E rank promotion examination but the D rank as well. Most adventurers take that after being a D rank adventurer for a whole year and a lot of them still fail. I'm pretty confident in my strength." He nodded with a smile. Since he can easily kill an E rank boss all by himself, he should be able to handle D rank monsters with ease. Even if he fails the promotion, he can always try again in the future. "I don't really mind, but promotion examinations are not free. The E rank examination will cost you $5,000, and the D rank examination will cost you $20,000. You can pay the whole thing right now, and if you fail the E rank examination, we will refund you the $20,000 but not the $5,000. Leo was speechless. He didn't think he needed to pay to take the examination. Fortunately, he had the money. "Okay, I will pay." After paying $25,000, the woman handed him a piece of paper and said, "Come back in about an hour. Don't lose this paper because it's your proof of payment." Leo left the Adventurers Guild shortly after. "What should I do now?" He wondered out loud. "Why don't you prepare for the wilderness? I hope you're not thinking about going out there without any preparations, such as stocking up on potions and medicine," Lilith said to him. "I have never gotten hurt in the wilderness, but I guess it's always good to be prepared." After calling another taxi, Leo said to the driver, "Can you take me to the nearest potion store?" "Sure thing." About 10 minutes later, Leo paid the driver and approached a building with the sign Tori's Premium Potion Store. Upon entering the store, he was greeted by an old man behind the counter. "Morning, young man. How can I help you?" "I'm thinking about buying some potions for the wilderness," he said. "The wilderness, huh? Then how about this magic bundle?" It's a bundle of potions that consists of 4 low-grade mana potions, 4 low-grade stamina potions, 2 low-grade energy potions, and 2 low-grade instant mana potions. It'll cost $15,000, which is cheaper than buying them individually. If you want some healing potions, those will be $2,000 for low-grade and $10,000 for medium-grade. Low-grade healing potions are for minor injuries like cuts, while medium-grade are good even if you're stabbed by a sword. Wow, potions sure are expensive. I must have drank at least a few $100,000 worth of potions during my training days. He swallowed nervously. Light's novel. After pondering for some time, Leo said, "Can I get a magic bundle, 5 low-grade healing potions and 1 medium-grade healing potion?" "Sure thing." The total will be $25,000. After paying the money, Leo sighed inwardly. "I can't believe I have already spent $50,000 today. While I may earn a lot of money as an adventurer, it can also get very expensive being one, and I haven't even purchased any artifacts yet." Once the old man handed Leo his supplies, he tossed it into his spatial storage and called for another taxi, returning to the Adventurers Guild, where he waited for his examination to begin. Once it was about time for his examination, Leo approached the front desk and showed the paper to the worker. "Leon, right? You can head to the 4th floor and go to room 1. It's the first room to the right. Your examiner will be waiting for you there." "Thank you." After making his way to the 4th floor, Leo entered room 1. "It's you." Leo was surprised when he saw the examiner inside the spacious room with a door at the other side. The examiner was a bulky old man with a long white beard. It was Guildmaster Boreas. "Lights Flamikronem. You've grown a lot since I last saw you. Even your aura is much sharper. I guess I didn't waste my time by coming here today," he said with a smile. "So you want to take the E rank and D rank promotion examination today, huh? Show me what you've learned from Camille." Guildmaster Boris suddenly snapped his fingers, and the door at the end of the room opened. A moment later, two large figures walked through the door and entered their room. In order to become an E-rank adventurer, you must be able to defeat these two monsters within 5 minutes. Leo was very familiar with these two monsters, as they were both steel feather long legs E-rank monsters. That's it. This examination is much easier than I anticipated. Leo felt a little disappointed, but he didn't complain. Once the monsters in the room noticed Leo and Guildmaster Boris, they instinctively avoided Guildmaster Boris and went straight for Leo due to the difference in their prowess. Seeing this, Leo raised his hand and began multicasting black bullets. Once the steel feather long legs were close enough, Leo released a barrage of black bullets on them, riddling their hardened bodies with holes, killing them instantly. Guildmaster Boris' eyes widened with surprise after seeing the results. He multicast Black Bullet 12 times in that short amount of time, and to be able to penetrate the steel feather long legs defense with Tier 1 magic. This guy is a monster. After killing the monsters, Leo turned to look at Guildmaster Boris with a calm face and asked, "Does this mean I am an E-rank adventurer now? You did pass the examination. So yes, you're now an E-rank adventurer." Guildmaster Boris responded in a dazed voice. Sometime later, Guildmaster Boris cleared his throat and said, "For the D-rank promotion examination, you'll need to fight and defeat 3 D-rank monsters by yourself. I will give you some time to prepare and restore your mana. It's fine. We can begin now," Leo said. "Are you sure? You must have used up the majority of your mana with that multicast just now. It wouldn't be fair to make you take the examination when you're near mana fatigue," Guildmaster Boris said, unaware that Leo had increased his mana capacity by 10,000 since their last meeting. After all, even talented magicians would need a year to acquire that much mana. "I am really ready to start the next examination," he nodded. Even though the multicast had exhausted 500 of his mana, it had already recovered completely by now. "All right, I will start the next examination now, but don't complain to me when you fail due to your own arrogance," Guildmaster Boris said before sending in the next 3 monsters. A few moments later, 3 green-skinned monsters that Leo was extremely familiar with walked through the door on the other side of the room. Goblins? Seriously? Leo was surprised to see such a common monster ranked so high. In his world, most goblins were amongst the lowest-ranking monsters, and they were a common trope in fantasy. These are called forest goblins. They're very agile and vicious. In fact, they're one of the strongest amongst D-rank monsters. Good luck, Lynn. Just like the steel feather long legs, these forest goblins instinctively avoided Guildmaster Boris and went straight for Leo. These guys are quick. Leo was surprised by how fast they were closing their distance. But no matter how quick these forest goblins are, they won't be able to avoid a barrage of black bullets, he thought. However, before Leo could even multicast Black Bullet, the 3 forest goblins suddenly split up and charged at him from 3 different angles. Seeing this, Leo gave up on trying to hit all of them at once and aimed his magic at the closest goblin. A barrage of Black Bullet instantly killed its target, but the other 2 goblins didn't stop moving and had reached Leo. The goblin on his right swung its rusty sword while the goblin on his left pounced at him with its dagger high in the air. Leo immediately used Void Step to avoid these goblins, and he would not stop until he arrived at the other side of the room a few seconds later, baffling the forest goblins. "Go to hell, you ugly things!" Leo shouted out loud as he summoned a Void Spear before throwing it at the goblins. The Void Spear disappeared right after it left Leo's grasp, puzzling the goblins. When the Void Spear appeared again, it was already in front of these goblins, and they were unable to react to it. The entire room shook as the Void Spear struck both goblins at once, even creating a large dent in the floor that had been reinforced with magic. Phew. That was close. Leo wiped the few drops of sweat on his forehead and sighed in relief afterward. Light's novel. Guildmaster Boris stared at Leo with wide eyes and an open mouth, not daring to believe his eyes. Nobody would believe me if I told them that he'd only started learning magic recently. Just how in God's name is Camille training this kid? And what has she been feeding him to improve his mana capacity so much so quickly? Leo approached the dazed guildmaster and asked, I am a D-rank adventurer now, right? Yes. He nodded in a stiff manner. Great. By the way, I would like to become a C-rank adventurer in 2 weeks. What do I need to do to take the promotion examination? Leo suddenly asked. What? You want to become a C-rank adventurer in 2 weeks when you've just became a D-rank adventurer? Are you trying to speed run to S-rank or something? Why? Guildmaster Boris exclaimed. This is Miss Camille's idea. She wants me to become a C-rank adventurer in 2 weeks, he shrugged. Guildmaster Boris rubbed his eyes in silence. A few moments later he spoke. If you want to become a C-rank adventurer in 2 weeks, you'll need some recognition, and the fastest way to acquire recognition right now would be to do territory control missions. Territory control? Leo raised his eyebrows in a questioning manner. That is when you go out into the wilderness and help our city or other cities expand their safe zones or create certain routes from city to city, expanding our trading routes. Lightsville. However, since you're still new, I would suggest for you to do some transportation missions first. You'll basically become a bodyguard while you escort goods or people from one location to another. This is also much safer than territory control missions. Alright, I will think about it. Thank you for the explanation. Leo nodded. Here. Take this and show it to the workers on the first floor. This is proof that you've passed your examinations. And congratulations on becoming a D-rank adventurer. I have high expectations for you, Leon, Guildmaster Boris said as he handed Leo a token with the letter D engraved into it. Thank you. Leo returned to the first floor shortly after and showed the worker the token. You actually passed the D-rank examination as well? Looks like I have underestimated you. I'm sorry, young man, the woman from earlier said to him after seeing the results. It's fine. He shook his head. Let me update your information and give you a new ID card. A few minutes later, the woman handed Leo a new ID card in exchange for his old one. The only difference between these two cards was his adventurer's rank. Thank you. Leo went to check out the missions shortly after. Through inserting his new ID card into the computer, he was able to access far more information than last time, not to mention the amount of available missions also skyrocketed, and he quickly began looking through the list with Lilith. What do you think, Lilith? Should I do transportation missions or territory control? Since I only have 2 weeks, I need to choose my missions wisely, or I won't be able to achieve C rank. Leo asked her advice as they scrolled through the list of available missions. Sometime later, after they looked through all of the available missions, Lilith said, I think you should do transportation missions. Although you may receive more recognition through territory control, these missions will take longer than transportation missions to complete. Most transportation missions right now will only take a week to complete, while territory control will take at least 2 weeks. You're also still very new as an adventurer, so you should go with the safer option for now, at least until you acquire more experience. From what I heard, territory control will be very hectic and all sorts of crazy shenanigans could happen. Alright, I will do transportation missions for now. Leo agreed with her advice and decided to accept a transportation mission. He looked through the available transportation mission again. What about this one? It starts tomorrow morning, and the delivery cargo I need to protect is heading to Fairwood City, which is the closest to our stellar city. According to the quest, it will only take 6 days. 3 to get there and another 3 to get back. That sounds good. Lilith agreed with him. Leo proceeded to accept the mission through the computer. After that, he left the Adventurers Guild and rented a room in a hotel near the meeting area for the mission. While he waited for the day to pass, Leo would look at the quest shop to see if he needed to purchase any of them. Since I don't have any quests right now, I should purchase some of the quests for the time being. They're pretty cheap with a good return. After pondering for some time, Leo decided to purchase 2 quests for 15 magic points. You have purchased new quests. Quest, use 100,000 mana. Progress, 0/100,000. Time limit, not applicable. Reward, 20 magic points. Quest, kill 100 monsters. Progress, 0/100. Time limit, not applicable. Reward, 100 magic points. Leo wanted to purchase the quest that required him to learn a Tier 5 magic spell since he already learned one, but he lacked the magic points to purchase it for now. Once I acquire enough magic points, I will immediately purchase that quest and instantly acquire 500 magic points. After purchasing the quests, Leo realized something. The 2 quests didn't disappear even after I purchased them. Are they repeatable? In order to test out his theory, he decided to purchase another quest. Ding! This quest is already active. Complete the active quest in order to purchase another one, Light's novel. I see. It appears to be repeatable, but I cannot stack them up. This is good. This will allow me to grind magic points. I should farm some magic points if I still have some time after becoming a C-rank adventurer, he thought to himself. The following day, Leo woke up early in the morning even before sunrise. After doing his morning routine, he went downstairs to check out of the hotel before he made his way to the meeting spot. Why do we have to gather so early in the morning? Fortunately, I had plenty of sleep yesterday, Leo complained as they walked to the city wall. Monsters are less active during the morning, so they are going to take advantage of this and start their traveling during this time, Lilith explained to him. I see. That makes sense. Sometime later, they arrived at the gate at the city walls. Lightsonville. Leo recognized the guards as they were the same ones from a week ago. Here, Leo showed them his adventurer's ID. You're already a D-rank adventurer? The guards were surprised to see how fast he's risen within such a short time. As expected of the Saintess disciples. You're a talented one, the guards said. Now that he was a D-rank adventurer, these guards had no problem letting him outside by himself. After leaving the city, Leo made his way to the meeting area that was at the border of the green safety zone and the orange zone. Once he reached the border, he was able to see a 8-meter-long van surrounded by a small group of individuals in the distance. This van was fortified with metal and weaponry, making it seem as though it came straight out of a zombie apocalypse movie. There were 5 people there. A middle-aged man with a round figure who was also dressed nicely, 3 men in their mid to late 20s, and a young woman. That chubby man is probably Tammy, the person who posted the mission, Leo thought to himself. Hello there. Are you Leon? The chubby man asked him once he was close enough. Yes, I am. Can I see your ID? Here. The chubby man proceeded to insert his ID into this phone-like device. All right, I have confirmed your identity and checked you in. Since you are the last person we were waiting for, we will begin the mission right now. First and foremost, I am Tammy Barlow, the owner of this cargo, and I only request for one thing from all of you here, to protect me and my cargo with your lives until we reach Fairwood City and back, which is about 6 days. We will be taking the longer but safer route. If we encounter any monsters, they will at most be D-rank. As for your provisions, I have bottled water and MRE enough for 2 weeks. Since there are only 5 of you, I will let you guys discuss the shifts amongst yourselves. Any questions? When nobody spoke, Tammy nodded and said, Good. Then get in the van. We're moving out now. Once Leo and the other 4 adventurers were sitting in the back of the van, Tammy went to the front with his 2 drivers. The van started moving shortly after, pulling along a large cargo that was attached to the back of the van. Shortly after the van started, the female adventurer spoke. Since we're going to be spending the next week with each other, let's introduce ourselves. I'll start first. You can call me Trista. I'm a D-rank adventurer with a wind magic affinity. I'm David, 26 years old. I'm also a D-rank adventurer with a fire magic affinity, said one of the male adventurers. Name's Jeff. 29 this year. I just recently got promoted to C rank. I have a wood magic affinity. You can call me Dean. I'm 24 years old. D rank and fire magic affinity. The adventurers turned to look at Leo after they finished their introductions, who was obviously the youngest one there. Leon, 18 years old. I became a D-rank adventurer yesterday, he said in a calm voice, but his face didn't seem very sociable at all. Through his previous experience with adventurers, he'd subconsciously become untrusting towards them, not that he was sociable in the first place. 18 years old? You're very young. Are you still in school? What kind of magic can you use? Trista asked him, seemingly intrigued by his presence. No, I am not in school. And I can use dark magic. Dark magic? That's ridiculously rare. The others appeared very surprised. Should I not have told them about my dark magic affinity? Leo asked Lilith through telepathy. I don't think it would have mattered unless you planned on keeping your magic a secret even out here, not to mention your disguise, she said. It's also good to stand out a little since you'll be able to acquire more recognition this way. That makes sense. Wow, so you're a full-time adventurer at that young age? I admire you. I didn't become an adventurer until I was 20 years old, Trista said. Anyways, why don't we talk about our shift? Jeff said a moment later. And he continued, although we will all defend the cargo when we're under attack, we should still have someone keeping an eye out so that we can be prepared before we have to fight. You see that slider on the ceiling over there? We'll take turns watching our surroundings and alerting us of any potential danger. Dean stood up and opened the slider before popping half of his body outside the roof of the car and watching their surroundings. Since there are 5 of us here, we can each take 4 to 5 hour shifts. So who wants to go first? Leo suddenly raised his hand and said, I will go first. Sure thing. Once Dean climbed back down, Leo took his place and climbed up the staircase until he could stick his head outside the van. Wow, this feels pretty good, he thought to himself as he used his mana to block the dust from getting into his face. Why do you seem so eager to work? Lilith suddenly asked him. He smiled and said, because I can practice my magic and do my quests like this. What do you mean? She asked with raised eyebrows. I am going to use Black Bullet and shoot any monster in sight. This will be great practice for my magic control. Oh, you're a genius, Leo, Lilith said. Speaking of the devil, there's one right there. Leo pointed at the monster that was about 50 meters away from their location. After taking a moment to aim, he used Black Bullet, shooting it at the monster. However, since this is the first time that he's tried to hit something that far away, he missed his target. As for the others, they didn't even notice Leo using magic because of his silent casting. Otherwise, they would be telling him to not do something so reckless, as he was essentially attracting the monster's attention by attacking them. Light's novel. However, since Leo silently cast his magic spells and his Black Bullet traveled extremely quickly, nobody there noticed a thing, not that they were paying any attention to him in the first place. Through 4 hours of training and shooting over 100 black bullets, Leo managed to kill around 30 monsters. Lightsfell, he looked at his quest progression. Quest, use 100,000 mana. Progress, 1513/100,000. Quest, kill 100 monsters. Progress, 30/100. Now that I think about it, the 100 mana being absorbed by Lilith every second doesn't count as using mana. It would have been great if it did count, as I would be completing the quest without needing to do anything. Hey Leon, it's already been 4 hours. Are you ready to come back down? Jeff called out to him. Actually, I would like to stay up here a little long if you don't mind, he said. Of course not. You can stay up there for as long as you like since that is less work for us. When you're done, you can just come down. Thank you, Leon. You're a hard worker. I like people like you, Trista said to him. Thus, Leo continued to practice his magic control by using the monsters they pass as shooting targets. Although he would only hit about 30% of his targets during his first hour, he would quickly improve, hitting about 90% of his targets by the 5th hour. Eventually, he would be able to hit pretty much any monster with 100% accuracy as long as they were within 50 meters. Leo practiced his magic for 8 hours straight, increasing the mastery rank of his Black Bullet to B during this time. He wanted to keep training, but he was getting hungry, so he tagged out Dean, who replaced him. Once he went back down to the van, he asked them, "Where is the food?" "Oh, they're in those boxes over there. Just pick whatever you want to eat." Jeff pointed at the boxes near the corner of the van. Leo went to the boxes and looked inside. "Sorry, I heard they're mostly for soldiers in the military. I wonder how they taste." After picking out an MRE with an appetizing name, he opened it and started looking at the food with a puzzled face. "Is this your first time eating an MRE?" David asked him. "Yes." He nodded. "Seriously? What do you usually eat when you're out on long missions?" "Actually, this is my first long mission. I usually just hunt monsters around the city. However, I won't be able to be promoted to C rank if I only do that, so I decided to do this transportation mission," Leo explained. "I see. But it'll take you a lot more than just one transportation mission to meet the requirements for a C rank adventurer, and I am speaking from experience. Since you've recently reached D rank, it'll probably take you another half a year before you can try for C rank," Jeff said. "Half a year," Leo mumbled in a dazed voice. "Hey, let me help you out with the MRE. Can get a little confusing for beginners," Trista said as she approached him. "Thanks." A few minutes later, Leo started eating the food. "My God, this tastes horrible," he cried inwardly after taking his first bite, and he began wondering how he'll survive the next week with this kind of food. After finishing the MRE with much difficulty, Leo chugged down a bottle of water and went to rest in the small bedroom at the end of the van. There were exactly 2 bunk beds with 4 mattresses in total. He picked the bunk bed on the right side of the van and laid on the lower bed. "How are you feeling?" Lilith asked him as she hovered right above him. "A little bored. I thought this would be more exciting, but it doesn't seem to be the case." "So you want to be in danger?" Lilith raised an eyebrow. "I didn't say that. I guess I expected a little more than just sitting in a van and taking turns watching our surroundings. The monsters cannot even catch up to us if we just keep moving. If you want something more exciting, you should have done a territory mission. It's too late now. I also cannot see how I will be able to raise my reputation like this. If your performance is good, the person who hired you will talk about you to the Adventurers Guild because they are required to take a survey at the end of their mission," Lilith explained. "I see. So I just need to stand out. In a good way, but yes." Lilith nodded. Leo closed his eyes and proceeded to take a nap. A few hours later, Trista suddenly rushed into the bedroom and shook Leo awake. "Leon! Wake up!" "Huh? Is it my turn to be on the lookout?" Leo asked with a half-asleep expression on his face. "No. We're under attack." "What?" Leo immediately jumped out of the bed and rushed outside with Trista. Once they were outside, Leo finally understood their situation, as they were suddenly surrounded on all sides by a massive group of monsters, and there appeared to be around 30 of them, all of them being sharp-toothed wolves. What the hell? How did this happen? Leo was dumbfounded by their situation. How did they become surrounded? A group of monsters blocked the road, forcing the van to stop, and the moment we stopped, we were surrounded by these monsters, Lilith explained to him. They couldn't have driven around or straight through the monsters blocking the road. "This is a heavily fortified vehicle, too," he cried. "I guess that is possible, but the cargo being transported may contain fragile items, so they couldn't risk any violent disturbance. Anyways, you should pay attention to the monsters now. They're getting ready to attack," Lilith warned him as the monsters slowly approached the vehicle. "Step aside." Leo suddenly rushed in front of the other adventurers and pointed his finger at the group of monsters in front of him. Right as the monsters pounced at him, Leo released a barrage of black bullets at the monsters, killing over 10 of them at once. The other 4 adventurers were dumbfounded when they saw how Leo had multicast so many magic spells in such a short time, and he had even done it without any chanting or showing the magic circles. "Let's go. We need to back him up," The others also started their attack after Jeff snapped them out of their daze. However, the monsters there ignored the other adventurers and focused solely on Leo, most likely because they saw him as their biggest threat. This allowed the others to cast their magic spells without being disturbed, killing several more monsters. The monsters eventually got too close to Leo for him to use magic and the others to attack using their magic, fearing that they might accidentally hit him, so Leo retrieved his sword and started slashing away, occasionally shooting out black bullets with his left hand. He's essentially fighting all of these monsters by himself. Is he really just a D-rank adventurer? David muttered in a dazed voice as he watched Leo fend off a dozen monsters all by himself. Even I cannot do that. Jeff mumbled. Several minutes later, once all of the monsters were killed, Leo took a deep breath and turned to look at the others. Are you guys okay? Lights flamikronim. They all nodded in a stiff manner. Leon, are you okay? Tammy came out of the vehicle when he was certain that there were no more monsters around. Yes, I am fine, Leo said with a calm smile on his face and without a single injury on his body despite fighting over a dozen monsters at once. My God. I have never seen anyone fight like you just did before. You've earned my admiration, Tammy said with a look of awe on his face. The other adventurers approached them a moment later. I'm really sorry that I wasn't able to assist you back there, Leon. I was so bewildered by your performance that I didn't know how to react, Jeff said with an embarrassed look on his face. Me too. I was so shocked. Just where did you learn to move like that? Trista asked. I had good teachers, he said with a smile. Lights novel. He then asked, anyways, do you mind if I take a couple of minutes to harvest their mana cores? Go ahead. I'll be waiting in the vehicle. Tammy nodded. I'll help you, said Dean. Me too. The other adventurers proceeded to help Leo harvest the monster's mana cores as a way to apologize to him for letting him fight all of the monsters just now. Here, you can keep all of them. They decided to give him all of the mana cores. Really? Thanks. Leo accepted all of them without any hesitation. They returned inside the vehicle shortly after. There's a shower available if you didn't know. Go ahead and wash the monster's blood off your body, Tammy said to Leo a moment later. Okay. Leo went into the shower to quickly wash his body. After coming back out with a fresh set of clothes, he said to the others, since I just took a nap, I would like to be on the lookout now. Seriously? Even though you did so much work just now? I wouldn't complain even if you refused to be on the lookout for the rest of our way to Fairwood City, you know? David said. I agree with him, Leon. I think it would be better for you to save your energy for situations like before so you don't have to be on the lookout anymore. Any objections? Jeff suddenly said as he looked at the others for their opinion. No objection from me. David quickly shook his head. Me neither, Dean said. I also have no objection. Trista smiled. Then it's settled. You can just relax until we need to step outside the vehicle again, Jeff said to him. Seriously? But I am so close to finishing one of my quests. Leo sighed inwardly. Why don't you sit over here right beside me, Leon? It's been half a day, but we haven't spoken much, Trista suddenly said as she patted the empty space beside her. It's all right. I don't like feeling cramped. Leo politely refused. Come on, don't be shy. I promise I won't bite. Trista chuckled, finding his reaction a little cute. Stop bothering our little hero. He's definitely already taken. David smiled. I just want to talk to him. Trista immediately became flustered. By the way, where did you learn to use the sword like that, Leon? You're not only very talented with magic, but you're also really good with swordsmanship as well. There are not many people out there that are good at both. Jeff suddenly asked him. I learned swordsmanship from someone named Chrome. He's an A-rank adventurer, he said. What? Sword King Chrome. You actually got someone like him to teach you swordsmanship? I am really jealous. Dean exclaimed. Who is that? Is he famous? Trista asked. Are you serious? How can you not know of Sword King Chrome? He's one of the strongest A-rank adventurers out there and also a master swordsman. I would literally die to be trained by him. You wouldn't say that if you knew what training with him is really like, Leo said with a bittersweet smile on his face as he recalled his hellish training with Chrome. What's your relationship with Chrome? How did you get someone like him to teach you? I heard rumors that he's a stubborn man. Oh, I wasn't the one who asked him. Someone I knew asked him for me. She's also my magic teacher, Leo said. Either way, I am really envious of you. No wonder why you were able to fight off so many sharp-toothed wolves by yourself, Dean sighed. You must have a pretty high magic talent for you to be able to multicast and silent cast at once. Let me guess, it's at least A rank. David asked. Just tell them it's B rank, Lilith suddenly said. Leo didn't ask why and said, it's only B rank. Seriously? I swear it should be higher. David looked genuinely surprised. Lilith then said, while it's fine to show off a little, you shouldn't reveal too much about yourself. There are a lot of envious people out there, and we don't know if we can trust them yet. You're right. I will keep that in mind. Leo agreed with her. Sometime later, David went to be on the lookout while Leo and the others started having random conversations. Hey, Jeff, I have a question. What was your C-rank examination like? Leo suddenly asked him. It was brutal. I failed 4 times and nearly died during 3 of them, not to mention the money I had to spend to retake the examinations. I don't even want to recall it. Jeff shook his head with a bitter expression on his face.